On the mound for Dave Roberts, Los Angeles Dodgers, who finished with the best record in baseball, 98-64. Now for the Mets, who need three little miracles, starting with one today to try to get back in this series. Shortstop Francisco Lindor leads off. Brandon Nimmo in left, batting second. Mark Vientos hits third today and plays third. Pete Alonso in the cleanup spot playing first base. The DH Jesse Winker bats fifth. Then Starling Marte in right field hitting sixth. Tyrone Taylor, the center fielder, bats seventh. Jeff McNeil hits eighth at second base. Francisco Alvarez catches and bats ninth. David Peterson on the mound for the Mets. Mets are donned in their traditional home whites with Mets in blue written across the chest in script, trimmed in orange. The Dodgers in their road grays. Those are tonight's uniforms, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Real clothes for real life. flagandanthem.com. And when it's game time, it's Tully time. The first pitch is brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew during tonight's game. It is about to begin, and we send it over to the Hall of Fame radio voice of the New York Mets, Howie Rose.
All right, Keith, thank you very much. Mookie Wilson was just waving a towel and yelling, "Let's go Mets," to further rile up the crowd. And so they are in many precincts here on their feet. Shohei Ohtani gets set to step into the batter's box as soon as we get the message that it's okay to play ball. And we're still waiting on the network stooge while everybody's hanging around, still waiting. And now he points and says, "We run the sport. We say you can throw the first pitch."
Don't tell me what we should do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, David Peterson is set to do so to Shohei Ohtani, and the first pitch of the game is on the inside corner. He starts him off with a slider for strike one. Now, yesterday, Ohtani hit the second pitch of the game from Jose Quintana for a home run. The 0-1 from Peterson is another slider. It's low and away, 1 ball and 1 strike. Ohtani, a pedestrian 8 for 34 in the postseason. He does have 3 home runs. And the 1-1 on the way. Fastball over for a called strike. It's 1-2. Ohtani has homered in each of the last 2 games of this National League Championship Series. Mookie Betts is on deck. Teoscar Hernandez to follow. Ohtani has already taken his timeout. Crowd showing that they do not particularly appreciate it, but he's back in the batter's box. And with the pitch clock running, Peterson with the glove in front of his face, set to deliver 1-2 to Ohtani. It's on the way, and it's way inside, goes to the backstop. The ball almost hit him in the shin. It was a sinker, a pitch that David Peterson has used to great advantage this year as he has broken through to have a solid Major League season as a starter. He went 10-3 with a 2.90 ERA during the regular season. This is his first postseason start. 2-2 the count. Now the pitch. Low and away with a fastball, ball 3. Now Peterson did pitch a couple of innings against the Dodgers, 2 1/3 to be exact, in game 1 of this series last Sunday. The payoff pitch, Ohtani hits it on the ground up the middle. McNeil to his right, can't reach it. It's into right field, a base hit for Shohei Ohtani. Looked like McNeil had a pretty good chance to get to that ball as he ranged to his right and pretty well found a little hole underneath the glove. And Ohtani's aboard with a leadoff single, and that'll bring up Mookie Betts.
And again, this is Jeff McNeil's first game at second base in a very long time. He had been in there as a pinch hitter, but now he's going to have to move laterally out there as best as he can at second base with Jose Iglesias on the bench.
And so Mookie Betts, who was the star of last night's show, will be the hitter. He went 4 for 6, including a 2-run homer and a 2-run double. Right-hand batter. And the first pitch to him, a fastball outside, ball 1. Mookie Betts 10 out of 36 with 3 homers and 10 RBIs in the postseason. And he's been the everyday right fielder now for the Dodgers. That hasn't been the case all year. 1-0 the count. Pitch. Betts hits it in the air to right center field, hustling over. Marte slides, but he can't come up with it. The ball hit him in the leg. Ohtani's going to go to third. Betts to second as the ball's played in by Taylor. And I don't know what happened to Starling Marte in right field, but he was not able to make the play that results in the Dodgers having runners at second and third. Nobody out. I don't know if Marte had some kind of trouble with the lights because they are on, although they're not really taking much effect yet. But it kind of hit him in the heel of the glove, and we're getting another look at it now. It just kind of popped off the glove, and, well, second and third, nobody out for the Dodgers, and it's ruled a double for Mookie Betts.
Now again, where the Mets are right now in their season, they have to make every play.
So here is Teoscar Hernandez, right-hand batter. And the first pitch hit on the ground to short. The runners hold. Lindor up with it. Throws to first in time. One man away. So Teoscar Hernandez going after the first pitch. Hit it right to Lindor. And so with the middle infielders having been back and the corners even with the bags, basically Hernandez did what the Mets kind of hoped he would do, hit the ball sharply if he was going to hit it up the middle. And with nobody out, Ohtani was not going to break for the plate. So second and third, one out now, and Freddie Freeman the batter. And the Mets maintain the same positioning with their middle infielders. They are back at the edge of the outfield grass. The corners are even with the bags. First pitch, fastball outside, ball one. Freeman did not play in last night's game because of his ankle injury. He is 7 for 27, all singles during the postseason. He's only driven in one run, but he's handled Peterson well in their previous meetings. The 1-0, swinging a liner to first, caught by Alonso, 2 men away. So now Freeman 5 for 19 with 2 home runs against Peterson. And so, David Peterson by rights should be out of this inning now, and maybe without even a base runner, because remember, McNeil didn't make the play on the ball that went under his glove, and then Betts' double went off of the glove of Starling Marte, but the ground out by Teoscar Hernandez, the line out by Freddie Freeman, 2 men away, and here's Tommy Edman, switch hitter batting right. He's been a pest. The first pitch, fastball over a called strike, 0-1. Mets defensive alignment sponsored by Olin & Cohen Orthopedic Group, experiencing orthopedic pain. They've got specialists for that. Alonso at first, McNeil at second, Lindor at short, Vientos at third, Nimmo, Taylor, Marte left to right in the outfield, Alvarez catching. The 0-1. On the inside corner, a fastball, and it's 0-2.
Bill Miller back there today, crew chief. He can be very open sometimes with that strike zone, which would help a Mets team looking for a little bit of help.
Peterson ahead of Edman, 0-2. Ohtani at third, Betts at second. The 0-2 pitch swung on and fouled back to the screen. And that umpire's lineup brought to you by RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. In addition to the crew chief, Bill Miller behind the plate, Jordan Baker at first, Jeremy Riak at second, Mike Malinsky at third, Marvin Hudson on the left field line, Nick Lentz, the umpire, on the right field line. 0-2 to Edman, the outfield around towards right. Peterson deals in the dirt. Nice block by Alvarez. It was a slider that was about a 59-footer, and Alvarez playing it softly, allowing it to simply hit him in the chest protector, and it rolled right close to him, directly in front of the plate. 1-2 to Edman. He's gone 11 for 34 in the postseason with 8 RBIs, 2 for 6 last night. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Peterson pumps his fist as he gets Edman on a high fastball, and that is an immediate lift for the Mets as the Dodgers had second and third, nobody out, and failed to score. Middle of the first inning, the Dodgers nothing, and the Mets coming up on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealer. Already somewhat stoked by the events of the top of the first inning, because you can make the case that David Peterson got 5 outs in the top of the first. Didn't get any help from his defense, but the Dodgers had second and third, nobody out, failed to score, so now Lindor steps in against the 29-year-old right-hander Jack Flaherty, whose first pitch is on the way, and it's right down the middle, a called strike, 0-1. The Mets did absolutely nothing with Flaherty in Game 1 of the series, which the Dodgers won 9-0. The 0-1 to Lindor, breaking ball low, 1-1. He'll throw that knuckle curve a lot. Flaherty went 7, gave up just 2 hits, struck out 6, walked 2. And the 1-1 to Lindor. Breaking ball down and in, the knuckle curve again. And it's 2-1. Lindor 11 out of 43 altogether in the postseason with 2 homers and 7 runs batted in. He's 0 for 6 in his career against Flaherty. Muncy, the third baseman, off the line and even with the bag. The outfield maybe a step towards right against Lindor. Flaherty's 2-1 pitch. Swinging a liner to right, that's a base hit. So he got a slider on 2-1, rips it on one hop to Mookie Betts, and the Mets have the leadoff man on here in the bottom of the first inning as Francisco Lindor delivers the first Mets hit of the game, sponsored by River Spring Living. See what makes life at River Spring Living special. Visit riverspringliving.org. So Lindor aboard, Brandon Nimmo the batter. And if you think, and one thing the Mets really haven't done because they have trailed so much in this series is run. Now consider who's behind the plate for the Dodgers, Will Smith. First pitch to Nimmo taken high, a fastball, ball one. Will Smith tied for the major league lead in attempted base stealers thrown out. He threw out 32 of them this year. Well, we'll see if the Mets try to push the envelope a little bit here. Medium-sized lead for Lindor at first, but a throw over. Flaherty thinking the same way, and Lindor dives back in. Brandon Nimmo playing on that plantar fasciitis, which has become noticeable when he's gone back on balls, particularly one hit for 2 runs last night. The 1-0 on the way, a fastball taken outside, 2 balls and no strikes. That came in the 4th inning when Mookie Betts doubled against Jose Butto, and under better physical circumstances, Nimmo undoubtedly would have at least kept the ball from going to the wall and maybe saved 1 run there. But it's 2-0 to Brandon. Flaherty deals, and a fastball in for a called strike. It's 2-1. Defensively for the Dodgers, Freeman is at first, Kike Hernandez at second, Edman at short, Muncy at third, Teoscar Hernandez, Pages, Betts left to right in the outfield with Will Smith behind the plate. 2-1 to Nimmo. Flaherty deals. Breaking ball outside, ball 3. Well, he went to the knuckle curve and missed. And Nimmo ahead of the count here. 3 balls and 1 strike. Again, Lindor not much of a lead at first with Freeman holding. Now Flaherty deals 3-1 and is way outside, ball 4. So now it's the Mets who are open for business here in the first inning, as the Dodgers had that second and third nobody out chance, failed to score. And if the Mets have been energized by that, it is certainly understandable. And Mark Vientos dropped down to the 3-hole today, will be the batter after the first Mets walk of the game, brought to you by Total Orthopedics, the experts at getting you back to being you. So now Vientos. And what a postseason he's had, trying to get the Mets on top. First pitch, breaking ball, spins over the outside corner for a called strike. It's 0-1. Last night, Ohtani homered leading off the game. And then the second batter in the bottom of the first was Vientos, and he evened it right up. 0-1 the count. Now the pitch, swing and a miss at a slider away. And the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Vientos, 17 strikeouts in 46 at-bats, but he has 17 hits. He's driven in 12 runs. 0-2 the count. Now the pitch, breaking ball outside again, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Already tied the Mets record for most RBIs in a postseason. 1-2 the count. Now the pitch, breaking ball hit high in the air to left field, pretty deep. Teoscar Hernandez back, he'll have a play, makes the catch at the edge of the track, and the runners will hold as Lindor broke a few steps down the line but comes back. And so back to first as well goes Nimmo. 1 man away, Pete Alonso will be the batter.
Tell you what, that fly out looked a lot like Alonso's fly out to left in Game 3. And again, this is a spot where the Mets, of course, are facing elimination, but hits with men on, men in scoring position, they have not found that seemingly all series or anything outside of Game 2. So these are big right now for the Mets because they feel like they've had the traffic over the first few innings of all these games, just not the big hit.
Counting that fly out, they are now 4 for 30 with men in scoring position in the series, and all 4 of those hits came in Game 2. So here's Pete Alonso, right-hand batter. Flaherty deals, and a slider in for a called strike, 0-1. It is impossible to ignore the possibility this might be Pete Alonso's last game as a New York Met. They have to win here to push the season to Los Angeles. The 0-1 on the way to Pete. Another breaking ball low and away, 1 ball and 1 strike. Whether the season ends here in L.A. or perhaps in Cleveland, the Bronx, or back at Citi Field, with Pete unsigned, there is certainly a good chance that he is in his last days as a Met. 1-1 the count. Here's the pitch to him. Inside with a sinker, ball 2. So Flaherty not as sharp early on here as he won in Sunday's series opener. former St. Louis Cardinal, first-round pick, and went to the Tigers. Dodgers got him at the deadline from Detroit. The 2-1 lifted in the air to right center field and deep. By his bat, still going. It's going to go. Home run! Pete Alonso, a 3-run homer right in front of the 7-line Army to the right of the 408 mark. Alonso with his 4th postseason home run, and the Mets are leading by a score of 3-0. And whereas over the first couple of games here at Citi Field in this series, the ball did not carry very well, that one did. And it was actually caught by someone in the 7-line Army just to the right of the batter's eye. And so the Mets survived the Dodgers, 2nd and 3rd, no out top of the 1st. Alonso goes deep, 3-0 New York.
I'll tell you what, Pete got every nook and cranny of this thing. That was 114 miles an hour off the bat. It went 432 feet. I don't care where you play, you hit a ball like that, it's going to get out of here.
So here's Jesse Winker in the first pitch to the DH today, taken for a called strike, 0-1. Now immediately when you get 3 runs up early, as the Mets just did, now you start thinking about how the rest of this thing can play out, never mind just this game. The 0-1 on the way, pulled on the ground towards first, fair ball. Freeman's got it behind the bag, underhands to Flaherty covering in time, and there are 2 men away. But the Dodgers, in all likelihood, if this series goes to Los Angeles for a Game 6, would use a bullpen game in that 6th game. Not definite, but it's certainly a possibility. They would have Walker Buehler on full rest available for a potential Game 7. And so the Mets know that if they can get some runs early here, force the Dodgers to go to their pen. Starling Marte, the batter, takes low outside ball 1, and then maybe they've got a bullpen game 48 hours from now, and the complexion of this starts to change a little bit. Well, the Mets with their first runs of the game, sponsored by Sloman's Home Heating Oil. 1-0 to Marte, curve hit on the ground, foul down the third base side. It's 1-1. Stay warm this winter and lock in a low flat rate today. Call 866-OIL-DEAL. 3-0 New York. 2 out, nobody on, last of the first. Flaherty into the overhead windup delivers. Swing and a miss at the slider. And the count 1-2. Alonso knocked it out of the park. Sponsored by Chopra and Nocerino, the exclusive personal injury law firm of the New York Mets. Flaherty already 22 pitches into this first inning. And the 1-2 on the way. Lays off a slider low and away. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And in Game 1 of this series where Flaherty was terrific over 7 scoreless, that was the one game where you go, the Mets just didn't look like themselves. They flush it. So this is really the real them against Jack Flaherty.
If ever they needed to flush stuff, it was the last 2 games here. The 2-2. Fastball hit towards first, fair ball. Going down the line, it caroms off the jutting stands, so Betts has to chase it down in short right field. Marte goes to second, he'll hold there with the Mets' 3rd hit of this first inning, a 2-out double. And the Mets are doing everything against Flaherty here that they did not do in Game 1.
That's what Brandon Emma was talking about last night. You know, that's the one game in this series where they said they felt a little bit rusty. And Flaherty did everything he could against them. I mean, he was virtually untouchable, and he's looking a lot more human today. And the Mets are taking legitimate at-bats this time around against him. And whatever the game plan was last time, again, they flushed that. And this time around, Flaherty a little less sharp. The Mets a little bit more on the attack.
So here's Tyrone Taylor, who's had kind of a rough postseason. First pitch, breaking ball low, ball 1. Taylor just 4 out of 30. With 1 run batted in. And he's got a runner in scoring position here. Mets have been looking for that hit with men in scoring position. Alonso sure delivered it. The 3-run homer. Now Marte's at second. And the 1-0 to Taylor, fouled back to the screen. A big enough swing that Taylor's helmet pops off his head. And so the count 1-1 as we come to you live from the Bob Murphy broadcast booth. Proudly presented by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly. And the earlier the Mets can potentially get into the Dodgers bullpen, the more ramifications that could have later on. The 1-1 off the outside corner, ball 2. Of course, whenever you get into a Game 7 situation, and we're a long ways away from that, everybody's on call. The Mets would love to push that bullpen around today, knowing they'll have a bullpen game Saturday. 2-1 hit on the ground foul down the third base line. 2-2. Actually, Sunday is game 6, if necessary, and then Monday would be the potential 7th game, if necessary. And the Mets are off to an early start of trying to make them very much so. It's on 2-2 to Taylor. 7th man to bat in the inning. Here's the pitch. Low and away with a slider, ball 3. Taylor, usually a very aggressive hitter, showing some of the restraint and patience there. It's been the hallmark of the Dodgers in this season, and particularly in this series. So full count now, and Flaherty will deliver pitch number 30 on 3-2. It's on the way, and it's pulled on the ground foul over by the Dodgers dugout.
Tell you what, when you get a starting pitcher to throw 30 pitches in an inning, let alone the first inning, that's a win. But when you've already tagged him for 3, Dave Roberts has got to be thinking, the wheels are starting to turn now in his head about how he may have to dip into that bullpen really, really quickly here with Flaherty off to start this game.
So 3-2. Here's the payoff pitch. Outside, ball 4. He spits on the slider. So Jeff McNeil will be the 8th man to bat in the inning. Runners at first and second, 2 out. 3-0 New York, and Mark Pryor's on his way to the mound. The Dodgers pitching coach is going to pay a visit to his pitcher, Jack Flaherty.
I'll tell you, look at this series, too, with Yamamoto pitching last night, Buehler the night before, and it doesn't feel like the Mets didn't get after the starter like they're doing right here. They did. They just didn't have the big hit, so it's just more traffic today against the Dodgers starter, and Alonso finally has a big hit, his first home run of this series, his first RBI of this series. So now, finally, the Mets offense gets that big hit, and now how much more can they do in this inning and for the rest of the game?
Well, you know what? The events of this first inning have allowed the Mets to do something people were wondering if they'd been doing enough of and would be able to do today, and that is simply relax and take patient, quality at-bats. There's just no way to emphasize any more just how much of a lift it had to give this club when Peterson got to that second and third no-out jam in the top half. So here's McNeil, and a breaking ball hit in the air to left, slicing towards the line. Teoscar Hernandez over, and he makes the catch to retire the side. But the Mets sent 8 men to the plate in the first inning. They scored 3 runs. There were 3 hits. No errors, 2 men left. And at the end of 1, the Mets 3, the Dodgers nothing on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Let's go Mets!
The Dodgers can muster something against Peterson, who by rights probably got 5 outs in that first inning. Facing Enrique Hernandez, his first pitch is a fastball outside for ball 1. Hernandez 2 for 5 in last night's game, with an RBI infield single in the third inning. And the 1-0 pitch, taken high, 2-0. He is 9 out of 26 with 2 home runs in the postseason. He has always been a really good postseason performer, particularly in the power department. 2-0 pitch, fastball outside, ball 3, pops out of the mid of Alvarez. Enrique Hernandez averages a home run every 13 and change times at bat in the postseason. In the regular season, it's 29% of the time. So postseason Enrique, a lot different. The 3-0, he takes outside, ball 4, and well, that's certainly not what you want to do after you get 3 runs to go up 3-0, is walk the leadoff man, but boy, those walks. And it's been kind of a perfect storm in this series because the Dodgers walked more times than any team in the National League. In fact, only the Yankees walk more often in the majors, and Mets pitchers have walked more batters than any staff in the National League. And has it ever manifested? Here's Muncy, and Max Muncy takes a called strike, the sinker, and it's 0-1.
Well, Muncy has 8 of the walks in this series, which is insane, as this is the first plate appearance of Game 5 for him.
0-1 the count. Vientos way off the line at third, and the 0-1 breaking ball in the dirt. Nice stop by Alvarez. It's 1-1. Max Muncy had a streak of 12 straight times on base during this series. He's been on base 13 of his last 18 plate appearances. He's got 3 home runs. 1-1. Now the pitch. Fastball over a called strike. So 1-2 strikes on Muncy. Will Smith on deck. And the fans way more into it now than they were really even when the game was about to begin. Trying to help Peterson through here. 1-2. The pitch upstairs with a fastball, 2-2. Now Peterson's pitch count is going to require some scrutiny because he is at 24 now without a batter having been retired yet in the second inning. He hasn't started since the end of September, but they think he's good for around 80 pitches or so. Here's the 2-2. In there, strike three called. He got him with a sinker, and Muncy knows it. Immediately heads back to the dugout. Second strikeout for Peterson. One away. Will Smith coming up. I guess you would probably say, and none of this is set in stone, that the longer Peterson goes in this game, the less chance there is of Kodai Senga coming out in a relief role. Will Smith, the batter, tossed to first, and Hernandez is back standing. And remember, if the Mets can get through this game and push the series back to L.A., every pitcher you save today gets an extra day's rest because there's no game tomorrow. So it's huge in a lot of different areas. Pitch to Smith. Fastball taken high and away. 1 ball and no strikes. Look at some of the guys who worked in bulk last couple of nights. Buto, 2 innings. Last night, Maton, an inning and a third. Maton bounces back fast. The 1-0 lifted in the air to right, moving to his right. Marte, he makes the one-hand catch. 2 men away. Andy Pages will be next. So the Mets are in a situation where they probably are a couple of arms short in the bullpen today. And so again, the further that they can push Peterson and the more that he can deliver, the better. And so Andy Pages, who's just 1 for 10 in the postseason, will be the batter. Right-hand hitter. He's got power. Peterson, sense of the letters. First pitch, taken high. A fastball, ball 1. Scoreboard update, sponsored by a local Honda dealers. Contact 1 for a great deal today. Yankees and Guardians tonight in Cleveland. After the dramatic win for the Guardians last night, they'll try to even the series up. The 1-0 taken off the inside corner. And the count 2-0. Luis Gil for the Yankees. Gavin Williams for Cleveland. 3-0 Mets, 2 out, top of the second. Kike Hernandez, the runner at first, being held on by Alonso. Outfield around towards right, the 2-0. Swing on a looping pop-up behind second. It's going to fall in for a base hit. Hustling over to third is Hernandez as the ball is played back in. And Andy Pages is on at first with, might have even been a broken bat single. And so that little flare brings the power of Ohtani to the plate as the tying run.
Tell you what, in any game, let alone the playoffs, you're up 3 early, it's a good feeling. But when you're playing the Dodgers, after what we have seen from them all series long, you start to think about how many outs, 27 outs, is actually against this lineup. And they were denied in inning number 1. Peterson worked his magic. He's going to have to do the same thing here in the second inning with first and third.
Ohtani singled against him to start the game. The outfield straight away and deep. First pitch. In the dirt, goes to the backstop. It's going to score a run. Hernandez comes down the line to score from third. Pages goes to second on a wild pitch to Ohtani. The Dodgers are on the board. The Mets lead is cut to 3-1.
This pitch just skipped in the dirt right in front of Alvarez's glove. He tried to make the grab, but it was just a spiked sinker at 94 miles an hour, one of Peterson's hardest pitches. And tough for Alvarez. He didn't really use his body, used his arms for that. And it just snuck by and gives the Dodgers a free run.
Well, it also got another man in scoring position now with Pages at second base. Ohtani the tying run at the plate. Each team 3 hits already. 3-1 New York. The 1-0 pitch. Ohtani takes a fastball low. Ball 2 with Mookie Betts on deck. So Peterson now at 32 pitches. The wild pitch cost him. The Mets threw more wild pitches than any staff in the league, too. Here's the 2-0. Breaking ball down and in. He holds his swing. It's 3-0. And you'd better believe that if it's someplace he likes it, Ohtani will be swinging 3-0. Peterson staring in. Brings the hands together. Checks the runner at second. Still staring. Now the 3-0 to Ohtani. He takes it, and it's in for a called strike, a sinker. So it's 3-1.
Well, the Mets have tried the pitch to Ohtani. That sometimes doesn't work. Pitch around Ohtani. Well, that didn't work either yesterday. He walked 3 times, scored 3 times. So you got to still try to go right at him.
And Ohtani calls time. Looks like he got something in his eye, as opposed to simply taking a routine timeout. Well, he's still poking around in there. And then he gets back in the batter's box, and he still can't make it. He's still having some issues as he bends down. And finally, you kind of wonder what took so long. Dave Roberts and the Dodger trainer come out. And basically the home plate umpire, Bill Miller, just shooed them away. Said he's okay, let's go. That's weird. 3-1. Now the pitch. Swing and a miss. Big cutter to change up, and it's 3-2.
I'm sure the Mets are thinking, if I had something in my eye, would Bill Miller give me that long? I don't know. Only Ohtani, I guess.
Or the network. 3-2 the count. You know, they're 9 batters away from Ohtani coming to the plate. Peterson's payoff pitch. Outside ball 4. He went with a sinker. So, Ohtani, representing the potential tying run, goes to first. Jeremy Hefner, the Mets pitching coach, comes out of the dugout, and Mookie Betts will be next.
And again, with Peterson today, we've already seen he has a lead, but there's been traffic in both innings for this Dodgers team that is certainly not going to let its foot off the gas today. And for Peterson, he has done a better job of trying to attack early and get strike 1. But the reason that he's throwing more balls than strikes is when you do get ahead, you get into that mode of, wow, I got ahead. I'm now 2 strikes on these hitters. How do I put them away? Well, Ohtani, 2 strikes first time around, singled. 2 strikes on him second time around, walked him. He does have a couple of strikeouts. He's going to have to try to do that here against Mookie Betts, who yesterday mentioned all those Ohtani walks. Well, the reason that Ohtani came in most of the time was the 4-hit day yesterday by Mets behind him, driving him in.
So now Betts, who doubled to right his first time. Mets were in L.A. early in the year. Mookie was playing shortstop. Right-hand batter. First pitch to him is off the outside corner, a curve, 1-0. And then the Dodgers came back here in May, and Mookie played 2 games at short and another one at second base. And he's been in the outfield since not too long afterwards. Here's the 1-0. Betts pops it up, outside first, playable, foul ground. Alonso makes the 2-hand catch, and that retires the side. Dodgers score 1 run on 1 hit, no errors. They lead 2, and in the middle of the second, it's the Mets 3 and the Dodgers 1 on Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Let's go, Mets!
The bottom of it, Crow Armstrong, the former Mets first-round pick, now with the Chicago Cubs. Families of actors grew up there. What was it, Giolito? What was it? Giolito's grandfather played Susan Ross's father on Seinfeld.
Love that.
Here's Francisco Alvarez, drills the first pitch in the air to right. Betts hustling, reaches, can't get it. It's going to roll to the wall, and Alvarez has an extra base hit. Picked up by Betts. He flings it back in, and on the first pitch of the last of the second inning, Francisco Alvarez is standing at second with a 2-base hit.
Now 12 games now in the postseason for Alvarez. Finally on time for the fastball. Finally his first extra base hit. And again, he's hitting 9th, so that's where the Mets are saying we're not asking you to carry the offense, but when he's had moments, he has not come up with his best swing. This is a pretty good swing to beat Mookie Betts over his shoulder.
You know, I was talking to Glenn Sherlock, the Mets catching coach, before the game, and he's kind of irritated at all the focus that's been placed on Alvarez's struggles offensively, because he says there are who haven't been hitting. Pitch to Lindor, taken outside ball 1, but he feels so much heat is being placed in really inordinate fashion on a 22-year-old who has, again, according to Sherlock, so much on his plate because we give him so much. The 1-0, breaking ball hit deep to right field, down the line, gone if it's fair. It is a foul ball into the Coca-Cola corner, just by a few feet. It's a long strike. and it's 1-1.
I'll tell you, this 2024 season, I think the Mets, talking about building the pole up, well, they need to move it to the right a little bit because Nimmo has reached that area many times this year, and Lindor almost hit one fair, but the Mets keep pulling it foul down that side.
1-1 the count. Alvarez leading from second. Flaherty deals, and a liner down the left field line, slicing foul and out of play. So the count 1-2. You can wear what the players are wearing on field during the postseason. Check out the largest selection of authentic jerseys, caps, hoodies, t-shirts, and more. Visit MLBshop.com for your Mets postseason gear. 1-2. Pitch to Lindor. Swinging a high fly ball to right. It's deep. Betts is back on the track in front of the fence. He makes the one-hand catch. I believe his bat grazed the right field fence. Tagging at second and going to third is Alvarez. So Lindor made a bid twice in that plate appearance for a home run. Just missed both times, but it's a productive out. Moving Alvarez to third with one out. The Dodgers are going to move their infield in for Brandon Nimmo.
Again, as much as the Dodgers have made noise, the Mets certainly have the lead, but they continue here after a very good first inning to put together strong swings against Flaherty.
So with the infield up, here's Nimmo. Walked and scored his first time. First pitch on the way. Breaking ball down and in, ball one with Mark Vientos on deck. Dodgers not only can afford to up 3-1, but they have to push Flaherty about as far as they can in this game. Because right now the plan tentatively is for them to go to a bullpen game if there's a game 6. The 1-0 taken below the knees. It's 2-0 to Nimmo. This being Friday, if it goes to a 7th game, you never know. Maybe they ask Flaherty to pull a Hershiser and come out of the bullpen to get an out or two. Tell you one guy who won't do that for the Mets today. 2-0 pitch to Nimmo, popped up behind home plate third base side, and it's going to reach the seats. So a foul ball, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. But as far as any Mets possibilities to make a surprising cameo appearance on the mound in this game, well, forget about Sean Manaea. He was ruled out earlier today by Carlos Mendoza. But again, Carlos will be as creative as he needs to be depending on how this one goes, with the Mets in must-win situation. 2-1 to Nimmo. The outfield straight away. Flaherty deals. Fastball hit high in the air to center field, not terribly deep. Pages lines it up. Alvarez tags. Pages makes the catch. Alvarez will stop as the throw comes in on the fly to the catcher, Will Smith, and there are 2 men away.
Pages has a really great arm. That's one of the reasons why he was a young call-up over James Outman this year, and that's why Mike Sarbaugh and Francisco Alvarez were on the same page. They're not going to test it. The reason why is you don't want to run into an out when you have Mark Vientos coming up next.
Yep, Vientos flied out to left his first time, and Pete Alonso had the big 3-run home run. Moves into the on-deck circle, or well, somewhere near it anyway. Nobody's ever in the on-deck circle anymore. Pitch to Vientos. Breaking ball low and away, ball 1.
Remember when Adrian Beltre was told to go to the on-deck circle and then he dragged it over to where he was standing?
Which is one of the great bits. If you couldn't get a laugh out of that.
Well, the umpire didn't. He threw him out.
Well, but the whole point is it was one of the funniest bits we've ever seen, and nobody could really enjoy it. The 1-0 breaking ball taken off the outside corner. They check the swing at first, and no swing, says Jordan Baker, 2-0. And when I was growing up, guys would literally kneel. They'd be on one knee in the literal on-deck circle, maybe with a weighted bat, towel, pine tar rag. 2-0 pitch, breaking ball, tapped foul, third base side. Now you never have coaches in the coaches box. You never have guys in the on-deck circle. What's happened to this game?
Just suggestions at this point about where to stand and sit.
2-1 to Vientos. Mets 3, Dodgers 1. 2 out, last of the second. Alvarez at third. Flaherty deals right down the middle for a called strike, but Flaherty fell down a bit in his follow-through. Actually slipped down to a knee. I don't know if he stumbled. I don't think he stumbled at the landing spot as much as he just lost his footing. Says he's okay. No further attention paid, and the count 2-2 to Vientos. So Flaherty sets. 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball hit high in the air to center, not deep, and playable for Paez. He makes the one-hand catch, and that retires the side. Mets get a leadoff double from Alvarez, but he is stranded at third. And at the end of 2, it's the Mets 3, the Dodgers 1 on Odyssey. Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealer.
Let's go, Mets!
Peterson, 3-1 Mets. The big swing so far. The Alonso 3-run bomb to straightaway center. Peterson peering in over that black mitt, has his sign, winds and fires. And dots the inside corner with a fastball to get ahead of Hernandez, 0-1. Behind Teoscar, it's Freddie Freeman and then Tommy Edman, second time through against Peterson. Infield back around to the left. The windup and the 0-1. Hernandez pops it up foul, first base side and into the seats, 0-2. Hernandez, after his ground out in the first inning, that was with second and third. That was the first of what would be 3 consecutive outs by Peterson to keep the Dodgers off the board. Hernandez is 0 for 15 in the series. 0-2, a little low with the slider. That's a ball and 2 strikes. A monster regular season for Teoscar Hernandez on that 1-year deal, $23.5 million. He will be a free agent coming up at the end of the year. 1-2, off the plate, sinker, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And again, herein lies the bit of the issue for David Peterson and the rest of the Mets is, okay, we're at 2 strikes. How do you put these guys away? Hard enough to get them to 2 strikes. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Change up, down and out. Hernandez goes fishing, and his strikeout victim, number 3 for David Peterson. Good soft changeup there at 84 miles an hour. Pitch speed sponsored by Spectrum, a connection built for everywhere. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum. So down goes Teoscar Hernandez, who is now 0 for 16 in this NLCS. And here's Freddie Freeman with nobody on base. First pitch left on left. Just missed away with a fastball. 1 ball and no strikes on Freeman. And again, in that little trio of hitters with guys on, Freddie lined one right at Alonso at first. The 1-0. Swing and a miss. Went right at him with a fastball, and it's 1-1. Freeman, even though he's left-handed against Peterson, does have good numbers. 5 for 18 in the regular season in his history with 2 home runs against Peterson. 1-1. Missed low with a breaking ball. 2 balls and a strike. Yesterday was an off day for Freeman, who tweaked his ankle at the end of September. A lot of people thought that under normal conditions he'd probably be done for the year, but he's been fighting through. And Dave Roberts, ahead in the series at the time last night, just gave him the night off. 2-1. Bouncing ball to first, right at Alonso. He bends to the back to pick it up. Takes it himself in time, 2 down. Now Freddie Freeman, good numbers against Peterson lifetime, but today 0 for 2 as he goes kind of hobbling across the diamond back to the third base dugout. Now 2 up and 2 down for Peterson. Mets ahead 3-1, top of the third. And here's Tommy Edman. It's kind of funny, Freddie Freeman, you rarely see him sit ever. If he's going to be playing with a hobbled ankle, he's going to be playing. Dave Roberts, when he told him he's not playing in Game 4, Freddie goes, "Are you benching me?" Pitch to Edman. Swing and a miss. Sinker. 0-1 to the switch hitter batting right. Well, it's good for Peterson to have benched Freeman twice. He struck out Edman with a high fastball his first time. The windup in the 0-1. Up and in with a fastball, ball and a strike. As we come to you live from the Bob Murphy broadcast booth, proudly presented by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly. 1-1 to Edman. Swing a bouncing ball, shortstop hole, base hit. Nemo picks it up in left field and fires back in. So Tommy Edman now 8 hits in 5 games in this series. He is 8 for 19. He's on with 2 outs, and we'll pause station ID.
This is Odyssey Mets Radio on WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York.
That's Citi Field, Game 5 NLCS. 3-1 lead for the Dodgers in the series. 3-1 lead for the Mets in the game. Here's Kike Hernandez. First pitch, outside and low with a sinker. 1 ball and no strikes. Hernandez walked on 4 pitches his first time. And again, you want to know how annoying that's been for the Mets. Not only did he get on, but he scored, which has been a theme of not only all the walks, but the result of all the walks. 1-0. Hernandez pops it in the sky, shallow right. McNeil out from second. Marte comes waltzing in from right. He makes the catch, side retired. Peterson a scoreless third inning as he moseys off the field. 2.5 gone by at Citi Field. The Mets ahead 3-1 over the Dodgers on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers. Anything from this team over the last month, it is at the moment where you believe the least is the moment that they seem to come through. And today definitely felt like one of those days in this city until Alonso went deep his first time. Pitch, chopped foul off his foot. And count 0-1.
Remember, he's the guy that saved their season in Milwaukee.
And that was another moment of this season that, again, amazing magic happened, but the feeling of magic, why it is such an enormous thing that some of us will never forget, is because of the perils of the opposite. That was Alonso batting. 1 out, 2 outs away from elimination. Down 2 runs. 0-1 to Pete. Fouled off, back to the screen, and the count 0-2.
You know what, Keith? I think it's also partially the character of this group, knowing that this group is having its one kick at the can, because it's going to be a different looking team next year. There's no getting around that.
Who knows what color threads Alonso will be wearing, if he'll be back here or not. 0-2 to Alonso. Check swing, ball in the dirt. He did not go. And a count, now a ball and 2 strikes. And yeah, Nimmo will be here. Lindor will be here. Vientos will be here. Alvarez. Marte, Taylor. There's some names that'll be here, but a lot of pitching. Who will be here next year for the Mets? And who'll be playing first base? 1-2. Grounded foul down third. Over by Mike Sarball. Picks it up. Turns and flings it high over the net. Into somebody probably wearing a Pete Alonso jersey, hoping he gets to wear it here next year. Alonso had his first home run of this series in the first inning. 1-2 from Flaherty. High and outside a fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And again, that Milwaukee game, the games in Philadelphia where the Mets in that first one against Wheeler were down for the entire game. Felt like, well, this one's going to belong to the Phillies. They came back in that one too. 2-2. Just missed away, trying to backdoor sinker, and the count full. Flaherty in this outing hasn't struck out a soul. 52 pitches, nobody out in the third. Winds and fires the payoff to Pete. Low and away, he walked him. So Alonso with a leadoff free pass sets the table for Jesse Winker. And Mets baseball brought to you by your local Honda dealers. Contact the dealer for a great deal today, or visit tryhondadealers.com. Already up 3-1. Mets with the table set here in the third. And here's Winker. Grounded out to the right side his first time, a left-hand hitter. First pitch to Winker, outside, ball 1. Now Winker with great numbers against Flaherty. That goes back to the NL Central days where Flaherty was wearing a Cardinal jersey, Winker wearing a Cincinnati Reds uniform. 8 for 21 during the regular season. 5 extra base hits against Jack Flaherty. 1-0 off the plate. He missed again. 2 balls and no strikes. Antoine Richardson is talking to Pete Alonso, who you would never think would be a base-stealing participant, but he's 2 for 2 in the postseason. You never know. Flaherty ready to go on 2-0. Here comes. Breaking ball low. Ball 3. Again, Marte on deck, then Taylor and McNeil in the bottom of the lineup. Now, Winker's certainly going to pick out a good one. Probably green-lighted on 3-0, especially with his numbers against Flaherty. Just sees him well. Flaherty's pitch. Off the plate, a 4-pitch walk. And so as much as the Mets have walked the Dodgers all series, the Mets have now walked 4 times against Flaherty, including back-to-back walks to open up the bottom of the third. 2 on, nobody out for Marte, and here comes Mark Pryor again. Mark Pryor, the pitching coach for these Dodgers. And again, you talk about the job Dave Roberts has had to do this year. Well, Mark Pryor, a pitching coach, is only as good as some of the names that he trots out there every 5 days. Every single day in his case has had to deal with basically a ton of injuries. The only healthy guys remaining, Walker Buehler, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Jack Flaherty. who right now is feeling it in Game 5, unlike feeling it in a good way in Game 1, where he went 7 scoreless. Mets couldn't touch him in Game 1. As that meeting wraps up on the mound, a look out to the bullpen. Anthony Banda, the lefty, getting up in that bullpen for the Dodgers. Again, no lead is safe against LA. Mets know that, especially when you're down 3-1. Can never take your foot off the gas, but when you have a moment to really let it rip, like the Mets do now, they got to let it rip. Nobody out, 2 on. Corners in against Marte. Hernandez and Edman back up the middle. Flaherty set. His pitch. Bonchon pulled back. Breaking ball, strike. Flaherty ahead, 0-1. Marte doubled down the right field line his last time, but could be moving a runner or the runners over here to set up second and third for Taylor behind him, but who knows. Pitch. Takes all the way and takes inside. He kept the bat back, wasn't showing bunt, and it's a ball and a strike. Now the Dodgers are not convinced. They still have Freeman in at first and Muncy at third. Other thing, too, Mets have not tested Freeman defensively in this series with that hobbled ankle. Flaherty set, the 1-1. Marte rips it down the left field line. That is a base hit going to the corner. Alonso rounds third. He will score. Winker chugging. He's heading around third. He's coming home. The throw to the plate, not in time. 2-run double, Starling Marte. 5-1 Mets in the third. They are not done yet. They've added on against Jack Flaherty. 2 doubles today for Starling Marte. Nobody out in the third inning. Mike Sarbaugh sent Pete Alonso, and then to take a good look, Sarbaugh stepped on the third baseline and sent Winker. And you know where he sent Winker? I think Sarbaugh was basically on the field. Winker ran around the third base coach. You never see that happen. And Winker came in to score.
Better be careful not to make contact. Coach cannot make contact with a runner when the ball's in play.
First pitch to Taylor. He stings one left center field. Hernandez over to his left. Makes a running catch. Picked it out of the sky and now fires back in. Now Taylor stung that one, and it hung up. That's the first out, but think about how loud of an out it was against Flaherty. So runner at second. So far, 5-1 Met lead. Trying to stave off elimination. Trying to get on that plane and force a game 6. Still very early, but a big 5-1 lead. Here's McNeil. First pitch. Popped up foul out of play behind third. Count 0-1. Well, Anthony Banda has since sat down, and again, he's the only lefty in that bullpen for the Dodgers. Well, here's McNeil, a lefty. Well, not going to use him now, and a couple batters away, you have Nimmo, a lefty. Are they going to stick with Flaherty here? 0-1. Little number towards short. Edman charges. Runner crossing over. Edman fires to first to get McNeil for the second out, and Marte gets to third. So McNeil, a little tapper off the top of the bat, is retired. This brings up Francisco Alvarez, who last time up shot a double right over Betts' head in right field. Again for Dave Roberts with Jack Flaherty. He's in a spot too where Carlos Mendoza's been a little bit in this series, where you're down a little bit bigger than you'd like. You might as well stick with the starter just to get innings. First pitch. Breaking ball hits the outside corner, strike one.
And again, worth pointing out, even though there is the off day tomorrow, there is very much the specter of a bullpen game being necessary for Roberts and the Dodgers in Game 6. He's trying to save a few if he can early.
2 outs, runner at third, 5-1 Mets. Pitch to Alvarez, hit hard, base hit left field between Edman and Muncy. Marte scores, 6-1 Mets. 2 banged balls today by Alvarez. This one brings in a run, and the 22-year-old is 2 for 2 here today against Flaherty. That's a response today for the Mets. Well, certainly as this series unfolded the last 2 nights in their own building, they've been worked by this Dodgers team. And with their backs fully against the wall, they have punched back and have a 6-1 lead. And here's Lindor with a runner on and 2 outs. 65 pitches for Jack Flaherty. You wouldn't recognize him from Game 1 with what's happened here today. First pitch. A little bit low, missed with a fastball, ball one. So Lindor is going to hit for the third time. And we're here in the bottom of the third inning. It's a pretty good start for any leadoff hitter. The 1-0 on the outside corner, a fastball strike, and it's 1-1. You can hear this crowd singing My Girl by the Temptations. And Lindor switched to that song as his walk-up, coincidentally, during that fateful Dodgers series at the end of May. The 1-1. Ripped down the right field line. Base hit, disappearing to the corner. Alvarez round second, heading for third. Betts trying to fish it out. Alvarez getting waved around. He will score. Lindor to third. A stand-up triple. It is 7-1. New York Mets in the bottom of the third inning. Lindor's second hit. He's at third. This place is on its feet here at Citi Field.
Wonder what the Temptations have booked for the next few days. Maybe they want to get on the charter with the Mets and do a couple of gigs in Los Angeles.
Now Betts bobbled the ball in the corner. We can't see down that line deep into the corner, so who knows how they score this. But Lindor's at third nonetheless, and here's Nimmo with 2 outs. Pitch. Breaking ball low. 1 ball and no strikes. Now they have ruled it a triple for Lindor, his first playoff triple. 2 for 3 in the game. The righty Flaherty's 1-0. Up and away, 2 balls and no strikes. And now it's starting to be, it's kind of a statement for Dave Roberts to Flaherty. He's at 70 pitches in the third inning. Not through it yet. Nobody up in that Dodger bullpen. And the Mets walked into this series, okay, we're going to see Flaherty, Yamamoto, and Buehler. All 3 have taken their lumps at times. Not a terrifying starting rotation. But the Mets hadn't really come up with a big hit. Well, they've had big hit after big hit after big hit today against Flaherty. The 2-0. Ripped to the right side. Base hit. Here comes another run. Lindor trots home. It's 8-1 Mets. Nimmo with a banging line drive over Kike Hernandez. A single to right. What an inning for the Mets. They've scored 5 times against Jack Flaherty. And still nobody up in that bullpen.
I guess Flaherty was briefed before the game about exactly what the Dodgers needed. And within that conversation, every potential scenario must have come up. But this guy's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And, of course, the Dodgers can still win this series and go on. But it's a weird message.
First pitch to Vientos. Bends down and away. 1 ball and no strikes.
How much of a beating do you want to let him take?
This is the 9th man of the inning that he's going to face. 72 pitches. Mark Pryor was on the bullpen phone, but nobody moved. Bullpens are empty in right center. 1-0. Down and in, off the glove of the catcher Smith to the backstop. Nimmo springs for second. He is there without a throw. Should be a pass ball against Will Smith. We'll see. But in any event, Nimmo is now another potential runner in scoring position. Already 8-1 Mets, 3 in the first. A 5-spot slap here in the third. Vientos 0 for 2, a couple of deep flyouts. 2-0. There's a strike outside corner. It's 2-1.
It is a pass ball, by the way.
Thank you. Infield is back. Flaherty just dying to finish this inning. 2-1. Vientos hits a ground ball to short. Edman to his left, scoops it up, whips it over in time. Vientos is down, but the Mets are up and up big. 5 runs cross this crowd at Citi Field, comes to its feet. The Mets will go to the 4th inning with an 8-1 lead over LA. In a do-or-die must-win for the Mets on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Let's go Mets!
7, 8, and 9. First pitch lefty to lefty. Up and in. Muncy spins and twists the chin out of the way. That's ball 1. Muncy struck out looking his first time. Peterson went right at the guy that has been such a pest for the Mets. Well, one of many for this Dodgers team. But again, once he set that single postseason record, the 1-0 in tight, that was also close. And once he gives a little stare to Peterson, that's 2 balls and no strikes. Remember the first one, he turned his chin around. This one was in tight near his body. The wind up and the 2-0. Down the middle for a called strike. Muncy took all the way. Again, Muncy had been on in 12 straight plate appearances, setting a single postseason record. Reggie Jackson did something similar, but that was across 2 postseasons. 2-1, a little bit low and in with a changeup. 3 balls and a strike on Muncy. And now the bullpen is up behind Jack Flaherty. Brent Honeywell warming up for the Dodgers. 3-1. Reached forward and grounded foul, pulled to the right side. 3-2 on Muncy. Honeywell, a name that you would expect to see during a bullpen game. And if this should go to 6 in L.A. Sunday, you'll probably see Honeywell, but he's warming up now. Payoff. Muncy grounds one weakly up the first baseline. Going to be a tough play. Alonso glove flip to Peterson, who makes the bare hand catch and steps on the bag. David Peterson and Pete Alonso with some theatrics for the out at first base. The shovel, the bare hand, the 3-1 put out, 1 out in the 4th.
Well, the athleticism, particularly on Peterson's part, to get there barehanded, find the bag with as minimal amount of stress as possible on a play like that.
Peterson will never really show that much emotion. He couldn't fight a smile after that. That was a gorgeous play on both ends. So now Will Smith, first pitch. That's a little bit high with ball 1. Well, that's the defensive play of the game, sponsored by Sun Cruiser Hard Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. Crack one open, let the good times cruise. 1-0 to Smith, right down the chute. A called strike, and it's 1-1. 8-1 Mets. Top of the 4th, bases clear, 1 out. Infield back, here's the 1-1. Smith takes outside a sinker, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Now again, even though it is a 7-run lead, the Dodgers scored 10 yesterday, 8 on Wednesday, 9 in Game 1. They have that in them. 2-1. Misses high, 3 balls and a strike on Will Smith. And the other thing, too, about the Dodgers you have to remember, even though it's really been the Mets offense that has been the story, it's not as if the Dodgers are playing or hitting poorly. Got a lot of traffic against Peterson. 3-1. Strike on the inside corner, 3-2. The guy that is running the Dodgers is Dave Roberts, who knows all about putting the pedal to the metal in a clincher. Under Roberts, the last 7 clinchers, the Dodgers are 7-0 in games like this. They don't mess around. Payoff. Popped him up. Foul ground, first base side. Peterson comes over. So does Alonso. It's Alonso making the catch for the second out. Well, I think these two may join the Temptations as part of a duo here. They want to get together on every single out in this 4th inning. Now, Peterson is an athlete. He's a big basketball player, no pun intended, in high school, growing up in Denver, Colorado. 2 up and 2 down for him here. Trying to post a shutdown top of the 4th after the Mets scored 5 in the bottom of the 3rd. Here's Andy Pages. Lefty to righty, first pitch. Pages gets into one to deep left. Nimmo looks up. This one is gone. Dodgers answer back with a solo shot by their 9-hitter, Andy Pages. Peterson gives up the bomb. The Met lead is now 8-2 in this 4th inning. And some fans in that lower level of seats right above the party deck, the 370 mark, fire that ball back in. Pages, the slow trot, just now stepping on home plate. You can hear, I think, Bill Miller, the home plate umpire, is yelling no, 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 because as Pages got to home plate, I think Alvarez was maybe jawing at him. That's what I think. I saw Alvarez's head moving up and down. Pages took a very slow trot down 8-1 after that homer. So here's Ohtani. Pitch. That's popped in the air, shallow left. Nimmo coming in. Going to be a tough play, and it dunks in. A base hit for Ohtani the other way. A 2-out single. And after the home run, now a blooper. And Ohtani has been on all 3 times. And these Dodgers are never going to make it easy.
Well, I'd be surprised if Alvarez was taking exception to the Pages home run trot, because let's face it, we've seen Francisco Alvarez pimp a home run with the best of them. So,
Absolutely.
I don't understand why, given his propensity for doing something a little more flamboyant than what Pages did, Francisco would have taken exception.
Here's Mookie Betts. First pitch is outside with ball one.
But that's why I have to listen to the postgame show. These little nuggets are gold, and they come up.
Betts tonight, double and a pop out. He's 1 for 2. Had a big day yesterday. Throw over to first, and a bouncer that's rescued there by Alonso as Ohtani dove in head first. Safe without a tag. Alonso was more preoccupied with saving that ball from going down the right field line. And again, the other thing, too, about Dave Roberts is even though he's wearing Dodger blue right now, his big moment in history was stealing second base for the Red Sox, who were down 3-0 to the Yankees in 2004. 1-0 outside, 2 balls and no strikes. And so Dave Roberts, who took advantage of a team that got a little complacent up 3-0, stole a big bag for Boston. That's why his message is still the same thing to his team. And now the Met infield's going to come together on the mound to talk to Peterson, and Fox just showed a replay.
Yeah, and there was some jawing, and at one point after Pages crossed home plate and Alvarez said something to him, Pages put his index finger to his mouth as to say, wow, I wasn't talking. But so who knows, how far back this might go, if there was something else a lot less obvious. But, again, if Francisco is taking exception to the Pages home run trot, that to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense because, again, Francisco pimps home runs with the best of them. He doesn't just put his head down.
So meeting on the mound is over. 2-0 on Betts. Runner at first, 2 outs. Pitch downstairs, 3 balls and no strikes. So the Mets are up 8-2. And Reed Garrett has now picked up a ball in that Mets bullpen. David Peterson had 70 pitches. He's also had to work over these 3+ innings. His pitch. Mookie takes all the way. It's a strike at the knees on the outside corner. 3-1. So 2 quick outs, one of Muncy, one of Smith. Then the Pages homer, the blue hit by Ohtani, who leads off first. 3-1 on Betts. The pitch. Fouled back behind home plate. And to the 300 section to our right. And now the count 3-2 on Mookie. 3 doubles in this series. Had a home run yesterday. Peterson trying to put him and the Dodgers away here in the top of the 4th. LA's already crossed 1 in this inning. Payoff pitch. Just missed high with a curve. Tried to snap it down, but it stayed up. And now Betts earns a walk with 2 outs. And again, with the Dodgers, we've been talking about who's going to start this game, Peterson or Senga. Well, it's not about who starts, but who pitches the middle and who pitches the back end and then the last 3 outs, because it's going to take 27 outs to beat the Dodgers. They just will not die, despite the fact that they have been hit in the mouth early, 5 runs in the 3rd. So 8-2 Mets. Here's Teoscar Hernandez. 0 for 16 in the series. 2 on, 2 out. Peterson a deep breath and the pitch. Way outside, ball 1. Well, Creed with special guest 3 Doors Down and Mammoth WVH Friday, November 29th at Madison Square Garden. Tickets on sale now. Ticketmaster.com. 1-0 on Hernandez. Peterson fires. Swing and a miss. Blew the fastball by him at just 89 miles an hour. And it's 1-1. Now Peterson, who has been coming on in relief, is scheduled for about 80 pitches. So he's at 74 right now. 2 on, 2 out. The 1-1. Swing and a miss. Hernandez late picking up the sinker on the outside corner. And it's 1-2. If the Dodgers are going to grab a couple here and there, they're going to do that. Peterson going to make sure that it's not going to happen any further in this 4th inning. Towels waving at Citi Field. 2 on, 2 out. Top of the 4th. Pitch. Misses high with a fastball. 2-2. Freddie Freeman is on deck. And so what does Carlos Mendoza do? Should it get that far? Reed Garrett can face lefties. Mets have done that before. Ohtani at second. Betts at first. 2-2 coming. Tapper hit foul up the third base line. That was the sinker on the inside corner, and it stays 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now Teoscar Hernandez against Peterson. 0 for 2 today. Did take him deep once in his career. Peterson comes set, looking for a big pitch. Off the plate, a changeup, and now it's full, and this may be Peterson's last batter. 78 pitches. Struck out 3 already. He has walked 3. Ohtani hops off second, Betts off first. 3-2 pitch, runners go. It is high, ball 4. And the bases are loaded. Here comes Carlos Mendoza. In a game where you score 8 runs in the first 3 innings, you figure, all right, well, that's a good start. Well, until the Dodgers walk in. Bases are loaded for LA. 2 outs. Freddie Freeman coming up. It is 8-2 Mets. Reed Garrett coming in. And this pitching change to get David Peterson is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Get out there and play the newest scratch-off games for a chance to win. Ask their bullpen for a whole heck of a lot of outs. First one out is Reed Garrett. Bases juiced, 2 outs. Infield back swung around to the right. Freeman 0 for 2. First pitch. High and away, 1 ball and no strikes.
And I think it's fair to suggest now that Kodai Senga might be an option once this game goes to the 5th inning, because they're not going to use him in the middle of an inning. He's going to need time to warm up. So I would look for Senga to make an appearance before too long.
Mets infield is back around to the right. The outfield playing the other way against Freddie Freeman. The 1-0. At the letters, a called strike. 1-1. Now, the reason why you don't stick with Peterson, the lefty, against Freeman is because you feel good about Reed Garrett's splitter, which even for a right-hander is a weapon against lefties. Bases loaded, 2 out. The 1-1. Off the plate, 2 balls and a strike. And again, that was 98, some gas, but a ball outside. And this Dodgers team, as we've been reminded of many, many times, does not stretch even a millisecond or a millimeter of the zone. Ohtani at third, Betts at second, Hernandez at first. 8-2 Mets in the top of the 4th. 2-1 pitch. Punch foul the other way. 2-2. That was right behind Dino Ebel, the third base coach, and in toward the camera well at the far end of the third base Dodger dugout. Towels waving at Citi Field. Lights are on here in Flushing. Garrett looking for a big out of Freddie Freeman, and he steps off. Ohtani off third. The 2-2 pitch. Chop foul first base side, a little bit up the line. That was the sweeper, and it's 2-2. Now, as this game goes on, both teams will be in the bullpen. Jack Flaherty is done after 3. That's not official yet, but the fact that Brent Honeywell, who was throwing, is still throwing, is usually a signal that Flaherty, who's been knocked around, is done. But can the Mets hold on to this big lead? Bases loaded, 2 outs. The 2-2 pitch to Freeman. Low, and it's 3-2. That was that splitter that certainly Garrett knows is a weapon, but the rest of the league, and especially the Dodgers, know to spit on that pitch. Garrett brings the hands together, belt high. Mets ahead by 6. 4th inning, bases loaded for LA. And Garrett steps off for the 2nd time. So that's 2 disengagements, which is actually a pretty big deal with a runner at third base. But now Garrett quickly comes set. Infield back, runners lead. A long hold. Now the 3-2. Got him looking outside corner, snapped over a sweeper. Reed Garrett barking off the mound as he strands the bases loaded. And the Mets keep their 8-2 lead as we go to the bottom of the 4th. 1 run for the Dodgers on 1 hit, but the bases left loaded. Middle of 4 in Game 5 at Citi Field. The Mets up 8-2 on the Dodgers on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Let's go!
Kickboxing.
On Monday in LA, pitched Game 2. He's the guy that throws the screwball. So Honeywell comes on. He'll see Alonso, Winker, and Marte in his home half of the fourth. Already a lot of these guys third at bats. First pitch to Alonso. Grounded foul over near the third base dugout. The count 0-1. So Jack Flaherty is probably his toughest start in a long time. Certainly his toughest start in a Dodger uniform. Came over at the trade deadline. 8 runs, 8 hits, 3 innings. 0-1. Hit him. Up and in. Got him on the arm. Now Alonso wore that on the left arm and now flips the bat. Drops the elbow guard. He's a strong guy with some tough biceps, and he needed it right there. It's a leadoff hit by pitch, and now Pete has been on all 3 times. At the most painful of the 3. First one was the 3-run homer. And he walked in the third, came around to score, and is now on here in the fourth. The Mets have had a base runner on in every inning, and here's Jesse Winker. In fact, you can close up both lines on both starters. David Peterson has done 2 runs over 3 2/3. 4 walks, 6 hits, 3 strikeouts. Pitch to Winker. Up and away with a fastball. 1 ball and no strikes. I'll tell you what, even looking at Peterson's line, that is a line that the Mets starters have handed in over the last few days. And the Mets have not fared well the last few days. But that's what happens when you score 8 runs in the first 3 innings. The 1-0. Popped in the air third base line. It slices away from Hernandez and back into the crowd. 1 ball and 1 strike. Scoreboard update brought to you by the New York Lottery. Play the new scratch-off games for a chance to win. Gambling problem, call 1-877-8. ALCS Game 4. It's coming up at 8:08 Eastern Time. Yankees and Guardians. Yankees lead that series 2-1. Game 4 coming up at Progressive Field. Honeywell set his 1-1 to Winker. Missed in tight. Winker shoots the elbows up and takes for ball 2. Gavin Williams pitching for the Guardians tonight. For the Yankees, the young guy Luis Gil. Winker walked and scored his last time. Again, last time up for the Mets. 5 runs, 9 men came to the plate. The 2-1, right down the middle, a screwball. And it's 2-2. And again, even if you're ready for it, even if you know it's coming, I'm sure Jeremy Barnes, one of the Mets hitting coaches, has the iPad and says, here's how often he throws it, here's what it looks like. Until you see it live and in person, it is a wicked googly. That screwball that Brent Honeywell has mastered. 2-2. Ripped to the right side, base hit past Freddie Freeman and heading to the corner. Alonso hits second, motoring for third. Betts digs the ball out, fires in. They're going to send Alonso home. The throw from Hernandez, not in time. Alonso scores standing up. Winker's at third. The Mets add on another. They just will not stop tonight with their backs against the wall. It is 9-2 Mets in the fourth. Winker with a triple to right past Freddie Freeman. And there's still nobody out for Starling Marte. Alonso getting on his horse. Betts had a little trouble going over to get that ball. It looked like it almost got tucked under the wall. Pitch to Marte. Swing and a miss and a slider, 0-1. Now this is certainly a statement game for the Mets, just to simply show the Dodgers and the rest of baseball, who, of course, everybody else has been home watching these games for the last few days. The Mets can hit. Just haven't seen it for the last few days. 0-1. Down low with a slider. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Mets had the fewest triples, I believe tied with Atlanta. Fewest triples of any team in the National League with 14 for the year. And they've had triples in each of the first or last 2 innings here.
The 1-1. Marte flails over a screwball, and it's 2 balls and a strike. And for Jesse Winker, that is his second triple of the postseason. Remember, he had one in Milwaukee in that wild card series. And Winker, I think, is going over how he hit that triple with Max Muncy playing third base right next to him. 1-2. Bouncing ball up the middle. Edman to his left, slides to knock it down. Throws to first in time to get Marte for the out. Winker stays home at third. So a ground out for Marte, who had been swinging a hot bat tonight with 2 doubles. Takes his first offer, but passes the baton to Tyrone Taylor. Don't miss a moment at Citi Field 2025. Get the best seats for the biggest games with the Mets season ticket membership. To learn more, visit Mets.com/memberships. Mets back in front, 9-2. 7-run lead with one out in the bottom of the fourth. Pitch right down the middle, a slider. 0-1 on. And again, a lot to be determined in this game with certainly how well the Dodgers offense has clicked. Mets are doing what they can to simply outscore and outslug the Dodgers. 0-1. That hit him in the shoulder. There was a screwball, 81 miles an hour, that faded into the righty, and Taylor took it, but these Mets fans just getting a little restless and maybe a little defensive team. Honeywell did not mean the first one, and definitely did not mean this one, but now for the Mets, first and third, one out for the lefty McNeil. Now the biggest issue for the Mets was simply keeping the Dodgers off the bases, keeping them off the bases for free, and then when they get on, keeping them from scoring. And worrying about that more than worrying about scoring runs of their own, but they have scored big runs tonight. Pitch to McNeil. Hits the outside corner, a screwball. And a count 0-1. And again, should the Mets force a game 6, you're talking about momentum shifting with a win today and then an off day tomorrow where you'd have to sit on it if you're the Dodgers. 0-1. Popped high in the air, third base side, angling toward the seats and out of play, and the count 0-2. And 3-1 for any team like the Dodgers feels good, right? We need just one win, but team fighting. Just need any opening. Try to build a little bit of momentum. And what the Mets have done so far is not just momentum, but I'm sure the Dodgers are raising their eyebrows, finally going, okay, this is the team we heard about. First and third, one out. Honeywell spins, throws to first, and Taylor dives back in safely.
And by the way, with the Mets maintaining their big lead here, Kodai Senga is not throwing in the bullpen, even though we're only in the fourth inning. And again, the Mets are in a position with this big lead where they have to start looking ahead to a game 6 and think about how they'll spread things out.
Honeywell from the belt, 0-2. McNeil drives the ball, deep right field. Pages in beds going back. Pages to the wall, makes the catch on the run right in front of the bullpen, but it's deep enough to score Winker, who sprints home from third. He scores standing up. Sac fly for McNeil to deep right center, and it is a 10 spot for the Mets. They have a 10-2 lead in the bottom of the fourth. Taylor stayed home at first base, so 2 outs, so 1 on. And here's Francisco Alvarez. So Winker, who tripled and set himself up beautifully at third, comes in on the McNeil. Fly out to right. And here's Alvarez, 2 for 2. First pitch. That's ripped towards short, past the diving Edman. A base hit going to left. Taylor stops at second as Hernandez flings it back in. Francisco Alvarez has walloped 3 pitches tonight. He is 3 for 3. Double, single, single. This has been the Mets all night. They have now sent 6 men to the plate. Lindor represents number 7, batting for the 4th time in 4 innings. I'm sure some of these Mets fans are thrilled to see this, but are probably going, where was this yesterday and Wednesday? Because the Mets have been doing this a lot of this year. Honeywell set, the righty to the lefty. First pitch. At the knees, a called strike, 0-1.
One thing about the last 2 games here, you can't look at it with much regret about what happened that might have turned the game around. The Mets really weren't in those 2 games, so it's not as though they left, other than that bases loaded situation last night, a whole lot on the table.
0-1. Fouled off the mask of the catcher. It's 0-2 on Lindor.
Obviously, the first inning trades of home runs between Ohtani and Vientos, but as both games developed and the Dodgers widened their lead, it's not like you could say, oh boy, the Mets really blew an opportunity to go to L.A. with the lead in this series. Just got beat 2 in a row, and that's what's happening to the Dodgers here.
First and second, 2 outs, 0-2. Lindor hits one softly right side, caught at second by Kike Hernandez. He flips to first just in case, but he did catch it on a fly, a low sinking, and that retires the side. But the Mets add 2 more runs. RBI triple Jesse Winker, sac fly Jeff McNeil. The lead grows even bigger. 10-2 Met lead over the Dodgers. We go to the 5th in New York City on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by Honda dealers.
When they'll be every bit as desperate as they are right now. Tommy Edman leads off. He'll bat left-handed against Garrett. And Reed comes to the belt. His first pitch is in for a called strike, a sweeper, and it's 0-1. Peterson lasted just 3 2/3 innings. Jack Flaherty lasted only 3. You can't look more polar opposite than Flaherty did in each of his 2 starts in this series. The 0-1 on the way. Swing and a miss. Big cut by Edman at the split. And it is 0-2 in this 5th inning. Is sponsored by ELEC 825, building our future. And the Mets can still look at the 2024 season and see a future beyond these 15 outs. If they get to Game 6 on Sunday, Sean Manaea will be good to go. The 0-2, little bit low to Edman, 1-2, another split. And if it does come down to that, the anticipation right now is that the Dodgers are going to go with a bullpen game. Just think about the edge the Mets might have there, looking at the pitching matchup in that fashion. The 1-2 in the dirt, bounds away from Alvarez. It's 2-2. The Mets are in a position here where they can steer this potentially to a 7th game with a Dodger team that's got everything to lose, and the Mets have, by the way, vehemently taken objection to the thought that they're playing with house money. They're not just happy to be here. 2-2. Here's the pitch to Edman. Breaking ball in there. Strike 3 called. He got him with a sweeper. And Garrett has struck out the 2 batters that he's faced.
Again, those tears in Atlanta after the Mets clinched a spot with Lindor and Nimmo. Again, tell those guys, they're just happy to be here. They don't care about how far they go. I don't know about that.
No. With every run the Mets score in this game and with every eye that turns towards a Game 6, the pressure tightens on the Dodgers a little bit. Here's Hernandez. That's Kike Hernandez swinging over top of a sinker. And the count 0-1. I don't think you'll have to hold any benefits for the Dodgers, though. This same cast of characters will have their home crowd and, dare I say, their own PA system behind them. The 0-1 to Kike Hernandez. Popped up foul outside first. Charging over Alonso. He slides. Comes up short as the ball goes in and out of the camera well.
I was having such a great time so far, Howie, and then you brought up the PA system at Dodger Stadium, and I can feel my body wincing whenever the thing is turned on.
I can feel my ears going full Vincent van Gogh. 0-2 to Hernandez. That might be the only way out. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball, popped up foul, coming back this way. And lands downstairs. They've been loud here. I'm not going to say that they haven't tried to ramp the decibel level up as much as possible, as long as you have the Queens crew involved. They're going to try to split your eardrums too. Why, I don't know. The 0-2 fastball inside. I believe it hit Hernandez, and Alvarez wants to know if he swung the bat. He did not. And looks like Kike Hernandez has been hit by the pitch.
A lot of guys have been hit on both sides now. Remember when David Peterson was throwing to Max Muncy? He didn't actually hit Max Muncy, but he threw 2 that buzzed by him. And Muncy shot him a look. And it gets to a point, even if neither side really means to, where these hitters get frustrated. And in a game like this where it's, again, 10-2, right? Huge advantage for the Mets. You don't want any match to light and get the Dodgers back in thinking that this is any more personal than it already is.
So Hernandez walking very slowly down to first base. And again, the batters that the Dodgers, and specifically Honeywell, hit in the 4th inning, Alonso, Taylor, appear to be any logical content. Certainly the second one to Taylor is a breaking ball or the screwball. But by the same token, you start getting these many guys plunked, and you saw the words we talked about between Alvarez and Paez, and maybe there is something brewing. And here is Muncy. Garrett deals a fastball outside for ball 1. We're coming to you live from the Bob Murphy broadcast booth, proudly presented by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly. We're in the top of the 5th. The Mets leading 10-2. Down in the series, 3-1. And now the 1-0. Swinging a high pop-up behind home plate, might be playable. Alvarez near the screen on the dirt, runs out of room. Lands just beyond his reach, bouncing off the cement in the front row. A little scramble for the seat staff for the ball down there. With a count 1-1 to Max Muncy. Power Report is sponsored by Bill Vince's Bridgewater Acura on Route 22 in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Pages, a home run for the Dodgers. Alonso, the 3-run homer in the first inning for the Mets. And it's a 10-2 game, but this game really changed complexion early in the first inning. You're late to the party, and here's the 1-1 taken outside by Muncy, ball 2. The Dodgers had runners at second and third, nobody out in the first inning. But David Peterson came back to get the next 3. That reinvigorated the crowd. And then Alonso hit that 3-run homer in the first, and the Mets were on their way. 2-1 to Muncy. Now the pitch. Swing and a foul straight down off his leg, and now Muncy's hobbling around as that ball caromed all the way out to Garrett at the mound. And the count 2-2. Peterson lasted only 3 2/3. Gave up 6 hits and 2. Threw a wild pitch, allowed a home run. His time being allowed to Muncy here after fouling that ball off his leg. Now the question is, how much of the bullpen can the Mets preserve? Again, both teams will have the benefit of the travel day, even though the Mets are going overnight. I think the Dodgers are too, but an off day tomorrow. 2-2 pitch. Swing on a foul, rolling to the backstop. Line of demarcation in this season for the Mets came against the Dodgers on the 29th of May. And ironically, that was the date on which David Peterson, recovering from off-season hip surgery, made his first start of the year. Pitched reasonably well. An outside ball 3. Peterson went 5 in that game on the 29th of May. Gave up 3 runs, 2 earned. And that, though, was the day when the Dodgers broke it open late. Jorge Lopez was ejected from a game, hurled his glove into the stands. That season turned around almost immediately thereafter. Payoff pitch to Muncy, lifted foul into the seats downstairs behind the third base dugout. So Peterson made his first start against the Dodgers on really the last day of the worst of the Mets season. And now Peterson, even though he only lasted 3 2/3, a piece of a game designed to save the Mets season and point them westward again. 3-2. Garrett with a payoff pitch. Way outside, ball 4. Kodai Senga's been walking around in the Mets bullpen. Looks like Kodai is going to begin to loosen up. Jeremy Hefner is on his way to the mound. There may be somebody else out there at the moment, too. It's Ryan Stanek.
We saw some video of Kodai Senga throwing a weighted ball against the sidewall over there with a jacket on. So he's, again, you don't know how long this warm-up period might be for somebody like Senga.
Right, but it's by design. I mean, he's not up just getting loose on his own. I think that's with an eye towards eventually getting into this game, but he needs time, more than most. So, meeting at the mound with Enrique Hernandez now at second. On the walk-on at first. So that's 5 walks allowed by Mets pitching in this game, plus the hit batsman. Power Report, sponsored by Bill Vince's Bridgewater Acura on Route 22 in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Talks about the homers by Pages and Alonso. 10-2 New York. In a game that we don't have that pace of the game read, do we? It's probably just as well. We might have annoyed them with the read today. Here's Will Smith, first pitch on the way. Taken for a called strike, 0-1. To be blunt, this game has had no pace. It is nearly 2 hours old, and there's 1 out in the top of the 5th inning. Now, the Mets will stay here all night if they have to. Probably not a bad idea. Flying tomorrow would be optimal. 0-1 to Smith. Garrett deals. Check swing and a breaking ball away. Did not go, and the count 1-1. But we are at the whatever it takes time of the year. One and one to Will Smith. He's got power, but has had a quiet postseason for the most part. The 1-1 on the way. Swing on a pop-up. Foul. Over by the first base dugout. Over is Alvarez for a look, but it's a few rows back. And the count 1-2. on Will Smith. Just 5 hits and 34 postseason at-bats for Smith, who hit .248 during the regular season with 20 homers, 75 RBIs. Dodgers so happy with his work. He earned himself a 10-year, $140 million contract. Celebrated by throwing out more base runners than anybody in baseball this year. Not an easy thing to do with the new rules. Garrett ready. The 1-2 pitch. Swinging a high fly ball to shallow center. Hustling in is Taylor. He'll get there. And as he loses his cap, he makes the one-hand catch for the second out, and the runners hold. Hernandez at second, Muncy at first. Well, the number 9 hitter, Andy Paez, coming up. We'll see if he exchanges any words at all with Alvarez here. They did, as Paez crossed the plate after his home run his last time up. Paez also singled in the second inning. 10-2 New York. Doesn't look like anything going on right now between catcher and hitter. Tell you what else sometimes will rile a catcher. First pitch to Paez, fastball in for a called strike, 0-1. Might have had nothing to do with the home run trot at all. Maybe Alvarez thought is taking a peek at some point in that plate appearance. Sometimes hitters will do anything they can to figure out location, maybe get a sign from the runner at second where the catcher's setting up. The 0-1, breaking ball, sweeper is high, 1 ball and 1 strike. If the catcher picks up on that, there could be words, there could be fastballs strategically placed on the person of said hitter. And now Garrett steps off. That'll be a disengagement. 1-1 the count. 2 out. We're in the top of the 5th. Hernandez at second. Muncy at first. 10-2 New York. Garrett deals. Swinging a high fly ball to deep left field. Nimmo going back onto the track. He's at the wall. It's gone. A 3-run homer for Andy Paez, his second home run of the game. And the Mets lead is now 10-5. And this just has the feel of a don't go anywhere game, because we're not quite halfway through yet, and the runs are coming in bunches. 10-5 Mets.
Tell you again, Paez did his talking with his bat, and soft little bat flip. He knew he got it. Hanging breaking ball in, stared at it for a second, took a couple of steps, flipped the bat, took his trot. And as he gets back to the dugout, here comes Carlos Mendoza out of the Mets dugout for a pitching change.
It'll involve Ryan Stanek coming on to relieve Garrett. And this pitching change is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Get out there and play the newest scratch-off games for a chance to win. I don't know for sure if he is going to get into this game or not. But Mets are already on their 3rd pitcher, and they haven't gotten out of the 5th inning yet. Very fortunate to have put up the offense they have today. 10-5 New York, and here's Shohei Ohtani. First pitch, fastball reached for and popped up foul out of play downstairs to the left of home plate. And it's 0-1. Ohtani's been aboard all 3 times. 2 singles and a walk, so 14 of his last 24 plate appearances, Shohei Ohtani has been a base runner. Stanek's 0-1. Swing and a high fly foul. Third base side downstairs. And Stanek ahead quickly. No balls and 2 strikes.
And very interesting. Stanek usually in his effectiveness a 1-inning guy. Maybe you can get an out here, and then what do you do? Again, there's so much game left to be played today.
They don't have McGill. They don't have Young. They probably don't have Butto. Senga will probably factor in. The 0-2 taken high, 1-2. Danny Young and Tyler McGill in the last 2 days have received real plaudits from not only their teammates, but manager Carlos Mendoza. The 1-2 to Ohtani, popped up foul outside third. That'll reach the seats because they ate up some innings in the last 2 blowout Dodger wins to save the bullpen. Danny Young last night got the last out of the 7th, but faced 9 batters in the 8th, giving up 3 runs. Dodgers were comfortably ahead at that point, 10-2, but Young got back to the dugout, said to Carlos Mendoza, I know where you are, I got this, I'll go out again. And the 1-2 to Ohtani taken outside. He holds a swing on appeal to third, and the count 2-2. And Carlos Mendoza really appreciated that because as we surmised, he was going to get a position player ready, given the size of the lead. Swing and a miss, strike three. Stanek blows a fastball by Ohtani, and the Dodgers are done in the fifth, but they score 3 runs on 1 hit. No errors, nobody left. Middle of the fifth inning. The Mets 10, the Dodgers 5. On Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Let's go, Mets!
5 New York. Mets batting for the 4th time already. Here's Brandon Nimmo. Honeywell's first pitch popped up foul. Outside third might be playable. Muncy over, has plenty of room and makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out. And it'll bring up Mark Vientos. Looking for a supportive community for your mom or dad? One of the River Spring Living senior housing options might be the perfect fit. I've seen firsthand what makes life at River Spring Living special. Visit riverspringliving.org for more today. Got great Yankee bean soup. Here's Mark Vientos, who's 0 for 3. First pitch, breaking ball inside, ball 1. So Vientos, who's been one of the real hitting stars for the Mets in this postseason, has been the only guy quiet and unproductive at all at the plate so far. 2 flyouts and a ground out. The 1-0 hit high in the air, shallow center. Hernandez back, Pages in. Pages the better angle. The center fielder makes the catch for the second out. So Honeywell gets a couple of quick outs here in the last of the fifth, and it'll bring up Pete Alonso.
Again, beware that quick inning for Brent Honeywell, who is, since he's come in, he's also been hit just like Flaherty was. But you feel like this game's going to be like a basketball game, a slugfest. Just you have to keep outscoring the opposition.
Here's Alonso. First pitch on the way. Pulled hard towards third. Picked by Muncy, sliding down to a knee. Gets up, throws to first in time. Side retired. A lightning quick 1-2-3 fifth for Honeywell. And at the end of 5, it's the Mets 10 and the Dodgers 5 on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Let's go, Mets!
And the first pitch. Swing and a foul back to the screen, a fastball, and it's 0-1. We know that Phil Maton can pitch back-to-back, and in an emergency, even 3 days in a row. Jose Butto can't. Butto went 2 last night, so you know he won't be available. You know Danny Young will not be available. They've used Peterson. The 0-1 to Betts, hit to left field, pretty deep. Nimmo back. This ball is gone. Into the party deck beyond the 358 mark. Mookie Betts has homered. Mets 10, Dodgers 6. And in this kind of game, you can't run out the clock. You've got to pitch it out, and the Mets need to find a whole lot of outs. They still need 12 of them, and the Dodgers are coming back. It is 10-6, New York.
This is unbelievable. I mean, really, it's a race to 15 or a race to 20 or a race to 27 outs, whatever comes first. But, man, think about how well the Mets have hit today, and it still may not be enough right now.
Well, it's a 4-run game. Here's Teoscar Hernandez swinging and missing at Stanek's first pitch fastball, 0-1. And they may need to think about Edwin Diaz for 6 outs in this game. I don't think there's much question about that. He hasn't pitched much. Day off tomorrow. The 0-1 taken low, 1 ball and 1 strike. I think there's hardly any. The 1-1 swung on and missed 1 and 2. And again, you look at the remaining arms in the bullpen. Not going to use Danny Young. I think it's highly unlikely that they use Tyler McGill. Can't imagine they'd use Butto after 2 last night. That leaves you Maton and Diaz plus Kodai Senga. And Senga, of course, hasn't pitched since his implosion in Game 1. 1-2 pitch, low outside at Teoscar Hernandez, 2-2. Well, nobody up on that bullpen mound right now for the Mets.
12 outs to go. Got to cover it.
Each one's excruciating, isn't it?
Yeah, we're finding that out.
2-2 on the way. Well, there's one. A swing and a miss by Hernandez. Strike 3. So they need 11 now. 1 away, and Freddie Freeman coming up.
Again, think about Carlos Mendoza's decision-making. He's talking to Jeremy Hefner, John Gibbons, trying to plan it out. Okay, when do we pull the Diaz trigger? How long do we push Stanek? And then this ball flies out, and that ball flies out, and these decisions are ever-changing now that this is a 4-run game.
Dodgers have hit 3 home runs today, 2 by Pages, the number 9 hitter, and here's Freddie Freeman swinging and missing at a first-pitch fastball at 97. It's 0-1. Freeman lined out to first, grounded to first, and struck out looking. 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss at a fastball, 0-2. And again, just as the fans did last night, they sensed that they'd been taken out of it a bit by the Dodgers, so almost subliminally they tell each other, let's pick up the tempo here a little bit, verbally. The 0-2 rides high to Freeman, 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's amazing when fans are on the same wavelength. They don't need to say anything to each other, but they wind up saying the same thing individually. 3 words, let's go Mets. The 1-2, swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with a fastball. It's a good comeback by Stanek after the homer by Betts. Back-to-back strikeouts. He has 3 now. With 2 out, nobody on. Tommy Edman, the batter, with the Mets looking for 10 more outs. And the scoreboard update brought to you by Food Bazaar. Shop local, eat global with Food Bazaar Supermarket. FoodBazaar.com. They'll be starting that 4th game of the American League Championship Series within the hour. Yanks up 2-1 over the Guardians. Tommy Edman takes high, ball 1. Luis Gil and Gavin Williams will be the pitchers in the land. The land of Cleve.
Better than the Lou.
You got that right. The 1-0 on the way. That's popped in the air to center. Eminently playable for Taylor. Makes the one-hand catch, side retired. A run on a hit. And nobody left. And, well, as we count down the outs with the bullpen in some flux, the Mets need 9 of them to go to L.A. Middle of the 6th. Walked and scored, tripled. Mets have never had back-to-back triples, meaning inning by inning in a postseason game. The 1-0 taken outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Yeah, they had the fewest triple of any team in the National League this year. So naturally, they had 2 in consecutive innings.
You cannot predict baseball.
Susan. The 2-0 foul straight back and out of play, 2-1. I don't think she could hear us. But if you open your windows, assuming we get to L.A. on Sunday, you will hear the Dodger Stadium PA. Man, is that annoying. 2-1 to Winker. Swing and a miss. Huge cut at a fastball. And the count 2-2.
But just that little line is so much about this game. And you walk in today, the Mets were dead to run. Series lead. They looked incredible. How can the Mets beat them? Well, the Mets come out and scored 10 runs. And then you just don't know with this game. And you still don't know with this game. It's 10-6.
2-2 on the way. Fouled straight back. So it remains 2-2. But what you really don't know is what the Mets bullpen is going to come up with. And that's been a recurring theme of this year. You know, if anything was going to hold the Mets back, if you looked at it compartment by compartment, it certainly would be the bullpen. So can they get 9 more outs? 2-2 to Winker. Breaking ball down and in, 3-2. And you know what? Senga is not throwing. And
that hit him.
Oh, Winker's been nicked by that pitch.
Just barely grazed him. Hardly even noticed it.
Nobody did until home plate ump Bill Miller pointed to first base. So Winker goes to first, leading off the bottom of the 6th. Starling Marte will be the batter.
And nobody up in that Mets bullpen, which means I guess they're going to push Stanek, who's thrown an inning and a third, even more now to the 7th. That is a lot to ask still.
And maybe then 6 outs from Diaz. Here's Marte, takes on the outside corner, strike 1 called.
Diaz has only pitched that one time in the series in Game 2, and he was the one that was not named by Dave Roberts on purpose last night in the post-game press conference. The one guy we haven't seen in a while.
0-1 to Marte, line to the gap in left center. That's in for a base hit. It's headed towards the wall. Cut off by Teoscar Hernandez. It comes into the infield. Stopping at third is Winker, and going to second with a double is Starling Marte. Marte has 3 two-base hits in this game. And here come the Mets right back. Runners at second and third, nobody out.
Tell you, we've seen Starling Marte all postseason. You go back to the Milwaukee series and the wild card, he would have a quiet but important hit. And then Philadelphia, quiet but important hit. He's been really important. I mean, he has 8 hits in 21 at-bats in this series. That's a monster series for Starling Marte. Again, had questions last year. This year was a little banged up. Well, he looks really good right now.
And the Dodgers keep their bullpen quiet. It's one of the luxuries, I guess, of being up 3-1. Pitch to Taylor, breaking ball low, ball 1, meaning up 3-1 in games. They move the infield in here with second and third, nobody out. But again, they are looking at using a bullpen game if there's a game 6. So Dave Roberts not wanting to use another arm just yet. Honeywell about to deliver his 34th pitch, the 1-0. Taylor swings and hits it high in the air to shallow center. Charging in is Pages. He'll get there. Makes the catch in extremely shallow center field. He'll just run the ball back towards the infield before flipping to Freeman, the cutoff man to the right of the pitcher's mound. One away.
Jesse Winker, as that ball was hitting its apex in the top of the sky, he looked at Mike Sarbaugh and then looked out at Pages, and Pages just kept coming and coming and coming. It didn't change from being a question to be a pretty obvious hold for Jesse Winker at third, as Pages caught that ball just outside the infield dirt, it felt like.
Yep, no decision to be made there realistically, especially now the Mets with the advantage of the Dodgers having the infield in, and Jeff McNeil, the batter, he's 0 for 2 with a sacrifice fly. First pitch by Honeywell. Swing and a foul into the mitt of the catcher Will Smith. It's 0-1. Talked a lot about Mike Sarbaugh tonight, Mets third base coach. You know, he wears number 86, and he actually has a very loose connection to the 1986 Mets. Very loose. Here's the 0-1 to McNeil. Swinging a foul straight back out of play, 0-2. He was a student at Lamar University around Houston when the Mets and Astros were about to play Game 6, that legendary 6th game of the National League Championship Series in 1986. He got a hold of tickets, asked his baseball coach if it was okay if he could skip practice to go to the game. Coach said yes. Mike Sarbaugh was there. 0-2 to McNeil, reached for and fouled into the seats back behind the third base dugout. Sarbaugh actually grew up outside Philadelphia, not too far away, around Lancaster, in that general area. But he wanted to be at the Astrodome in 1986 for what became one of the handful of most memorable games in the history of the New York Mets, who have made a lot of memories this postseason, and they're itching to make more. Leading 10-6, second and third, one out, the 0-2. McNeil hits it in the air to center, not terribly deep. Pages makes the catch. Here comes Winker. Here comes the throw. It's way up the third base line. Winker scores with a head-first slide. Going to third is Marte, and the Mets now lead 11-6. For Jeff McNeil, his second sacrifice fly of the game.
And again, you have to remember, Jeff McNeil has not played in a very long time, and the only at-bats he had to kind of get loose and get his timing down were in the Arizona Fall League against, pretty okay minor league pitching, but he was there for what it felt like about 15 minutes. He played 2 games, and in this one in particular, the first start that he gets in the playoffs, timing's been good. 2 sac flies, can't argue with that production.
Well, here's Alvarez. You can't argue with his today either. He is 3 for 3. Picking himself up off the mat, having a big night. First pitch to the right-hand batter. Swing and a miss at a slider away. It's 0-1. Francisco doubled in the second to lead off, but the Mets couldn't get him in, as there were 3 subsequent fly ball outs. Then he singled in a run in the third, singled again in the fourth. That's about it. The Dodgers 11-8. They lead 11-6. Before a paid crowd of 43,841 emotionally uncomfortable fans. The 0-1 driven in the air to right field, pretty deep down the line, slicing towards the corner and out of play, a foul ball. Probably missed that foul pole by, was short and about 10 feet to the right of it, but didn't miss by a whole lot. And the count 0-2.
It's pretty good to see, though, for Alvarez. It's not the first time that he's gone the other way. That was that first of the 3 hits, the double over Mookie Betts' head. And You know, Alvarez gets his knocks for being so overzealous, trying to pull the ball and hit it to LaGuardia over the left field seats, but he's trying to go the other way. He's trying to get his front foot down, turn the hips, stay square to the ball, and try to use the whole field, which has been good to see development today.
0-2 the count. Honeywell, left leg kick deals. Swing on a foul off the hands, going back into the seats downstairs behind home plate. Mets played a totally different elimination game in the final game of the best-of-3 wild card series when they were being blanked 2-0 going to the ninth inning. And Alonso hit the 3-run homer. They won 4-2. And went to Philadelphia, beat the Phillies in 4. 0-2 to Alvarez, and on the ground to short. Edman is and throws in time. Side retired, but the Mets tack on a run. One hit, no errors, and one man left. The end of 6. It is the Mets 11 and the Dodgers 6 on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Leads off, Mets by 5 in the 7th. First pitch. Down and out, missed with a fastball. 1 ball and no strikes. So it is Carlos Mendoza asking Ryan Stanek, give him a little bit more. He has faced 5 hitters and is retired 4 to 5. 1-0, powered over the outside corner, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's 1-1. Kike Hernandez, then Muncy, and then Smith. And then Pajes, who has had the hot hand today for the Dodgers. 3 hits, including 2 homers. 1-1, way outside into the backstop. That's 2 balls and a strike. Well, the way the Mets are going to try to have to finish this game is the way it has felt a little bit in this series about basically being somewhat at a fatigue point and trying to push like a lot of the Mets starters have this year. The 2-1. Hernandez lofts it in the air behind short. Lindor backpedaling out, waving his arms in front of Nimmo. Makes the catch for the first out of the 7th. And this will bring up Max Muncy. At such things, saying, you know, guys like Luis Severino, how many innings can you get out of him this year? All of a sudden he makes 30-some-odd starts, didn't miss any, and he's doing what he can to stick around deeper and deeper into the playoff run. That is getting deeper and deeper. The same for Minaya and Quintana. And for the bullpen, here's Muncy, Mets by 5. First pitch, fouled back, count 0-1. We are coming to you live from the Bob Murphy broadcast booth, proudly presented by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly. Phil Maton and Edwin Diaz are warming up. So 2 righties and no Senga to be found. By the way, if you have been playing the sip a little bit of your Bigelow Tea every time the word Senga comes up, that's a lot of tea tonight on this broadcast. 0-1. Once he takes low and a strike. Well, thank you to our sponsor, Veterinary Emergency Group, VegER for Pets. Go to VEG.com to find the location nearest you. Infield back around to the right, the 1-1. Muncy pops it up. Foul ground, first base side. Alonso chugging over. Near the dugout, gives it a look, but it is foul. 6 rows behind the dugout, but 1-2 on Max Muncy. Stanek at 26 pitches. And so it's not as if the Mets are asking him to fight through contact and runs and walks and all this to get to his potential 2 1/3, which again would be a career long for him. It is simply a matter of he's thrown 26 pitches, he's getting outs, and he's staying, as Carlos would say, on the attack. The 1-2 to Muncy. Got him swinging, fastball down the middle. Stanek actually slipped in his follow-through, shakes his head as he comes back onto his feet. Now he's okay. I guess he gave everything he had to that, but he slipped. That's the second pitcher we've seen tonight slip after delivering a pitch. First one was Jack Flaherty early in the game. So the batter is supposed to be Will Smith, but instead it is a lefty for the righty. It is Gavin Lux. So Lux, who has been bothered by a hip flexor strain, going to dig in here in the top of the 7th. Mets ahead 11-6. Base is empty, 2 outs. Stanek fires. First pitch is high, missing for ball 1. So Austin Barnes, who is the backup catcher, who does not see a lot of postseason time, would come on to catch Here's the 1-0. Lux takes a strike outside corner. It's 1-1. Again, Dave Roberts, even though his team is down by 5, is still going to go with a pinch hitter here. Gavin Lux, even though Will Smith's a pretty good hitter, just been scuffling, as we told you. 1-1. Lux flails over a fastball. 1-2. So here's Ryan Stanek, like many of the Mets, pushed toward the brink. Give me everything you have. Trying to go 2 1/3 for the first time in his career. The Mets have an 11-6 lead. 2 outs, 7th inning. The 1-2 pitch. Flied in the air on the infield to the right side. McNeil waving his arms. He's got a beat. He makes the catch. Side retired. Ryan Stanek giving everything he's got and giving it back to the fans with a big let's go as he motors off the mound. We go to the bottom of the 7th. The Mets trying to stave off the limit. An 11-6 lead in Game 5. Missed outside. Ball 1. That was about 3 hours ago where the Temptations stood at the warning track right in front of the front row here at Citi Field and sang My Girl. Here's the 1-0 to Lindor. Missed outside. 2 balls and no strikes. So these fans were still singing it. That Lindor walk-up song.
Yeah, that was almost 3 hours ago, wasn't it?
So these games are long because they are intense, but also Fox. Here comes the 2-0 to Lindor. High and outside. 3 balls and no strikes. The inning breaks, by the way, are usually about 2 minutes. For commercials during the regular season, we are certainly over 3 minutes when we get to postseason time. But you got to pay those bills. 3-0. Up high, ball 4. Lindor, who's been up a bunch, has been on a bunch too. So that's the 5th plate appearance for Francisco. He has singled, tripled, and now has walked. He's been on 3 out of 5 times. As far as Ryan Stanek goes, certainly a yeoman's effort to get across the end of the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. That is the textbook play of the game, brought to you by Malloy University. At Malloy, you'll think about your future in a new way. Let's think about their future a lot tonight. Lindor bouncing at first, throw over there, and he's been picked off. Now Lindor got a little jump happy, and Honeywell stepped off, spun over, and threw to Freeman and put the tag on. And the Mets, I don't even think Carlos Mendoza is going to turn to ask if they are going to review. He's simply out 1-3 on the pickoff. He just never went. He bluffed twice and got caught in no man's land. Pitch to Nimmo. At the knees, called strike, 0-1. So I mentioned Stanek, what he's done over 2 1/3. You can kind of put it in your scorebook if you're scoring with us at home that he has done. They'd never gone that far to begin with. 0-1. Bouncing ball to second base. First baseman Freeman cutting over to field. Flips to Honeywell in time for the 3-1 putout. Stanek 2 1/3. Gave up the home run to Mookie Betts, but then retired the next 6. And Edwin Diaz warming up. He's going to come on for what looks like a 6-out outing. Mets ahead by 5 in the bottom of the 7th. And here's Vientos, who's been hitless all day, ironically. First pitch. Cued off the end of the bat to the backstop, and the count 0-1. Austin Barnes has come in to catch. He takes over in that 8th spot in the lineup where Will Smith was batting. Gavin Lux pinch hit, but Lux popped out to end that 7th against Stanek. 0-1. Vientos lost in the air, left center field. Pages sprinting in, makes the catch to retire the side. So Honeywell, a scoreless 7th, and we go to the 8th at Citi Field. The Mets need 6 outs for a Game 6. It is 11-6 Mets over the Dodgers on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by...
It is not a 6-out save because, of course, the margin of difference in score is too wide. It's got to be 3 or less. Right now, 11-6, but Diaz did pick up a 6-out save in the last home game of the regular season here against the Phillies. It was certainly not without some drama. Facing Andy Pages to lead off, called strike, 0-1, starts him off with a fastball at 96 miles an hour. You might remember that game against the Phillies. It had been an afternoon game that was converted to a night game, and a lot of people ticked off the 0-1 taken high 1-1 because they were going to bring their kids to the final home game. Well, never mind that. The Mets knew they had to fly to Atlanta to begin what was supposed to be a 3-game series. The 1-1 to Paez on the outside corner, a fastball, and the count 1-2. Now the Mets had a 2-1 lead when Diaz came into the game in the 8th inning. He pitched 2 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs, walked 2, struck out 4. The Phillies stole 5 bases against Diaz in those 2 innings. 1-2 to Paez. Swinging a fly foul down the right field side, skimming the protective netting. And it remains 1-2 to Paez, who's 3 for 3 with 2 home runs. But what else happened in that game was a throw to third base in the 9th inning by Francisco Alvarez with Bryson Stott, the tying run at third. Here's the 1-2 to Paez, high and tight, a fastball, 2-2. And that was a play we'll continue to dwell on when you think back at the story of the Mets charge through the late season and into the postseason. The throw that hit the bag, 2-2 to Paez, swung out and missed, strike 3. Got him with a slider down and away, and that's the first out. But remember when Alvarez made that throw to third and the ball hit the bag and it popped straight up, probably 95 times out of 100. That throw by Alvarez would have either gone into short left field or far enough into foul ground that it would have allowed Stott to score the tying run, but it came right back to Mark Vientos. Here's Shohei Ohtani, takes outside and high, ball 1. And it was impossible not to think at that time, well, maybe something's going on here. And then, well, the next 2 weeks were rather telling. 3 altogether on this Sunday to get us to this point. The 1-0 to Ohtani on the outside corner, a called strike, 1-1. But that was really the beginning of this craziness and the travel and the pressure games. The 1-1 swung out and missed, a fastball, 1-2 to Ohtani. So Diaz picked up 6 outs when the Mets desperately needed them that night. They only had a 1-run cushion there. It's 5 right now, leading 11-6 as Ohtani calls time. And yet these 5 runs they're ahead seems like that one skinny run that they led against Philadelphia with back on the 22nd of September. 1-2 to Ohtani, now the pitch. Swung out and missed, strike 3. He blew 99 right past Shohei Ohtani. Diaz has struck out the first 2. 2 men away, and Mookie Betts will be the batter.
A ton of fastballs right now from Diaz. In fact, all but one pitch have been fastballs. That slider put away Paez, and boy, that 99 came flying out of his hand.
Here's Betts, first pitch, down the middle, fastball at 99, and it's 0-1. Don't forget, stay tuned after the game for the Verizon Mets postgame show. The 0-1 to Betts. Holds a swing, the pitch evidently a bit up, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Betts today, double wall out. The 1-1 off the outside corner, a fastball. Alvarez tried to yank that one back in. Verizon, the network New York City relies on. Mets 11, Dodgers 6, 2 out, nobody on, top 8. The Mets have gotten it into the hands they wanted this in. Edwin Diaz, the 2-1 slider in for a called strike. And it's 2-2.
And buckled Betts' knees with that one.
This is vintage Diaz, working quickly, successfully. 2-2 to Betts. Swinging a bouncer back to the mound under the glove of Diaz. Backed up by McNeil at second. Throws to first in time. Side retired. A 1-2-3 8th inning from Diaz. And in the middle of the 8th inning in Game 5, the Mets 11, the Dodgers 6 on Odyssey. Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers. Brett Honeywell is going to get those same pats on the back from the Dodgers. He's facing Pete Alonso to lead off. First pitch, breaking ball high, ball 1, because he's beginning his 5th inning of work here. But you know what? For the moment, never mind Honeywell. There's still a chance, and these fans know it. This could be Pete's last time at bat at Citi Field as a Met. The 1-0 swung on and missed, 1-1. If the Dodgers win one of the 2 games still scheduled in Los Angeles, the Mets would be done, and Pete may well leave as a free agent. The 1-1 swing and a little pop flare to shallow center. Gonna fall, base hit beyond the outstretched glove of Kike Hernandez. And Alonso, who hit a 3-run homer in the first inning to burst the Mets in front, has started the 8th inning with a bloop single. And what again, if you're just going to analyze it, it may well have been his last plate appearance here as a Met. But you know what? They hold on here and win this game. The Dodgers, and the clearest indication yet is that Honeywell is still out there. Jesse Winker, the batter. First pitch on the way, breaking ball low, ball one. Dave Roberts not going to use any more relievers here because he's going to need a whole bag full of them in Game 6. And the Mets will have Sean Manaea on the mound. They're going to have every chance to take this to the limit. The 1-0. Swing and a miss. Huge cut by Winker at a fastball. And it's 1-1.
That's just the way it's felt. I mean, even in those moments that we've seen of despair where you just had that feeling that this is it. I had that feeling walking in here today a little bit. And the Mets do this. They bring you right back.
Well, the only ones who didn't may well have been the players. The 1-1 to Winker taken outside 2-1. But whatever happens, whether it's a Dodger uprising in the ninth or winning one of the two games in Los Angeles, whatever happens, you've just got to love this group of New York Mets who have given their fans every ounce of what they ever could have expected and so much more this season. And they're giving every indication that there's more to come. It's not at all difficult to imagine them taking this to a seventh game. If the Dodgers are going to a bullpen game and the Mets will have Manaea on Sunday, gotta like that chance. 2-1 to Winker. Taken for a called strike, a fastball. It's 2-2. I gotta call the fans the thriving player of this game. Brought to you by Thrivewell Infusion, New York's premier infusion and injection center. Saving lives drip by drip. Visit thrivewellinfusion.com. They've been shouting their lungs out a good deal of today. 2-2 to Winker. Swinging a foul straight back. If the Mets can get it done in L.A., be back here for the World Series. That's the best case scenario for them. But if it falls short of that, these fans have been hooting and hollering all day, and they have deserved exactly what the Mets have provided them today. What an atmosphere here. 2-2 pitch. Winker takes outside a screwball. It's 3-2.
I've been to a couple of playoff games, and when you buy those Game 5 tickets ahead of time, you have no idea what kind of game you signed up for as this week has gone on. It's been a little bit weird thinking, what'll Game 5 be like? Well, it's been the best of the Mets in the NLCS.
3-2 to Winker. The pitch driven in the air to pretty deep right field. Back goes Betts. He turns. He watches it. Hits the top of the fence. Stays in play. Digging for third, Alonso. He'll be held there, and holding at first is Winker with about as long a single as you could hit at Citi Field. And the Mets have runners at the corners. Nobody out.
Now, Jesse Winker, again, there's been some question about where's he been in the lineup with J.D. Martinez, and you play the splits, but I think this game in particular with the triple, the single, the walk, the hit by pitch, Jesse Winker is kind of solidifying himself as an option that needs to play. He's just too hot of a piece to keep on the bench right now. Winker is just diving into lineups, and he's coming out of the game. Luis Angel Acuna going to run for Winker at first base.
Diving into lineups, diving into home plate, diving everywhere. Starling Marte takes a called strike, 0-1. And how about Marte today? 3 doubles, including a 2-run, 2-base hit in the third inning. So runners at first and third, nobody out. Mets looking to add on to an 11-6 lead. Throw to first, and Acuna dives back in. Middle infield back at double play depth. Honeywell to the belt. Here's the pitch. Slider low outside. And it's 1-1 to Marte. And again, Dave Roberts is just asking Honeywell on whatever fumes he has left to get them through this bottom of the 8th inning. It's 11-6 Mets. Looks like somebody is finally going to get up and start to loosen in the Dodger bullpen. The 1-1. Acuna runs in the pitch line to center. That's a base hit. In to score is Alonso. Acuna to third, losing his helmet as he approaches the bag standing. And on at first with his 4th hit of the game. An RBI single is Starling Marte. It is a Marte Parte here at Citi Field, and the fans are the ones who are enjoying the festivities. It is 12-6 New York.
I just get to know Starling Marte a little bit for the last 2 years. He is the quietest guy you'll ever meet. Puts his head down, does his job, expects the same from the guys around him. But last year, when Marte tried to do the same thing as an aged veteran, put his head down. He was coming off the double groin surgery, dealt with concussion problems, migraines, had to shut it down at the end of last year. And he was really upset that he had to do that. It is something he does not want to do. He wanted to be an everyday player. Last year was such a bad taste in his mouth. This year he's done what he can to stay on the field. And so this 4-hit day for Marte, you just know how much it means to him, because he just wants to mean so much to this organization that gave him a chance when they signed him a couple of off seasons ago. Man, what a performance with 4 hits.
So, message from Mark Pryor is maybe we'll buy some time for Bonda, or maybe you figure this out yourself. Here's Tyrone Taylor, right-hand batter, swings at a first pitch slider and misses. It's 0-1.
I wonder, too, if Dave Roberts is thinking what Carlos Mendoza was thinking last night. If it gets that point, do I throw a position player? It's only 6 runs now, not 8, but that's another thought that has to swirl around Roberts' head.
0-1, the count to Taylor. Honeywell delivers and missed the outside corner with a slider. 1 ball and 1 strike. Yankees and Guardians just about set now to begin Game 4 of the American League Championship Series in Cleveland. Brought to you by Ready Refresh, New York's most reliable water delivery service. As the Guardians look to tie that series up after their dramatic win last night. 1-1 to Taylor. Here's the pitch. In tight with a breaking ball, the screwball, and it's 2-1. And you just don't know how much Honeywell has left. I'm sure some of the conversation with Mark Pryor involved, how much more Honeywell can give here, because you don't want to put a pitcher in danger of injury. The 2-1 tap back to the mound, grabbed by Honeywell, throws to second one, returned to first by Hernandez, double play. Holding at third all the while was Acuna. So Taylor bounces into the 1-4-3 double play. 2 out. Jeff McNeil due up, but here comes Dave Roberts, and he wants his left-hander Bonda, after all of this, to face McNeil. With the Mets leading 12-6, 2 out, bottom 8. This pitching change is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Get out there and play the newest scratch-off games for a chance to win.
Patted him on the back, grabbed his shoulder. That was a big body language thank you from Dave Roberts. In the Dodgers case, again, if you're thinking, 6, who cares how Honeywell pitches? It's a job well done, nonetheless, for Honeywell.
Particularly when Roberts is going to need maybe half a dozen relievers in the next game. Here's McNeil. First pitch, swung on and missed, a sinker, 0-1. Don't forget, stay tuned after the game for the Verizon Mets postgame show. Verizon, the network New York City relies on. 4 innings of work for Bonda in the postseason. 3 hits, no runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts. And as Keith pointed out to me between innings, I hadn't noticed, just looking at the scorecard now to confirm it, the Mets have not struck out tonight. The 0-1 lined up the middle, out to short on 1 hop for Edman. He fires to first in time, side retired. How about that? If the Mets don't hit again in this game, and it seems that'll be the case, they did not strike out all day into the early evening. They added a run in the 9th on 3 hits. No errors, 1 left, and at the end of 8, it's the Mets 12, the Dodgers 6 on Odyssey Mets Radio, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers. Home runs during the regular season, but he's been quiet. First pitch by Diaz on the outside corner. A fastball at 96, and it's 0-1. Game 6, and if necessary, Game 7 will also be 8:08 Eastern Time starts. The 0-1 to Hernandez, lifted in the air to right field, not deep. Moving towards the line, Marte makes the one-hand catch, 1 man away. Well, David Peterson lasted 3 2/3 innings, but then Ryan Stanek gave the Mets 2 1/3 after Reed Garrett had given them 1. And Diaz trying to close it out. With the Mets traveling, along with the Dodgers, an off day tomorrow. Fully rested Manaea for Game 6. Freddie Freeman takes outside and high, ball 1. Kodai Senga was not used in this game. He was walking around, starting to limber up, and never got onto the mound. But that's another arm the Mets could use in Game 6. The 1-0 taken high, 2-0, because just as the case was today, it'll be an elimination game, and it'll be all hands on deck. And he's, what would you say, one or two of those hands? Only one of them has the ball in it. The 2-0, Freeman pops it up, shallow center. Harrison Bader calling, and he makes the two-hand catch, 2 men away.
Now, the way the Mets have played today, 12 runs, 14 hits, they have certainly, I think, earned the Dodgers' respect back. Don't know if the Dodgers really said they lost respect for the Mets. They did not, but this is a game that you take the Mets seriously, but also slightly horrifying that the Dodgers at one point had made this a game a couple of times.
And yet, here are the Mets, 1 out away from another trip west. First pitch to Edman. Called, strike a slider, 0-1. These fans may or may not be back at Citi Field this year. If they are, it'll be for Game 3 of the World Series. The 0-1, swinging a ground ball up the middle to his right. McNeil backhands, throws across his body, and he throws it beyond the reach of Alonso. Caroms off the facing of the Mets dugout, backed up by Alvarez, and Tommy Edman will hold on at first. Should be an infield hit, as that was asking a lot of McNeil. And so with 2 men away, Enrique Hernandez will be the batter for the Dodgers. How unusual is it that a team has played an entire postseason game without striking out? And this is going all the way back over 100 years. It's happened 10 times before today. Runner goes, the pitch to Kike Hernandez, popped in the air to right field, not deep. In comes Marte. He makes the catch, put it in the books. The Mets are California bound again, where they'll hope to bring back a pennant as they stay in the National League Championship Series, cutting the Dodgers' advantage to 3-2. And if they can get back here to Citi Field, it'll be for the World Series. But there's a lot of work to do before that. You've got to start a big comeback somewhere, and the Mets did it today with a flourish. In the 9th inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left. The final score in Game 5, the New York Mets 12 and the Los Angeles Dodgers 6.